Remember what Amalek did unto thee by the way, when ye came forth out of Egypt.
My brethren, be strong in the Most High, and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of Yah, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of the Most High, that ye may be able to stand and withstand in the evil day. And having done all to stand, stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, take the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. And take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of the Most High Yah.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 1.
Shalom to the Set Apart family of the Most High Yah. Welcome to another Sword of the Spirit audio broadcast teaching. We are your hosts and servants of Yah. Moses, he wrote a song that he and Israel would sing in Deuteronomy 32:4. He is the rock. His work is perfect. For all his ways are justice. A Yah of truth and without injustice. Righteous and upright is he. So to all who have been led back to return to the book of the upright, the ancient path of truth, not only keeping Yah's set-apart Sabbath, but also remembering and diligently obeying his commandments, his statutes, his judgments, and his every charge, we greet you in the name of our Master, Yeshua HaMashiach, and Yah our Father. Welcome to our 146 audio broadcast teaching. I'm going to bring in my co-host, Shabbat Shalom, sis.
Shabbat Shalom. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Had a few snapples trying to get things started this morning, but that's okay. I'm doing good on this rainy Shabbat, but, you know, the word today shall brighten up everyone's, if you're in an area where it's raining, hopefully this lesson will brighten up your day. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Again, it's jury, but I'm glad to be here on this set apart day, and just to know that I'm open. You know, my eyes are open to His truth. So I can't wait to this lesson, and that's all I have to say about that.
All right. Well, those of you who missed last Friday evening, we debuted the second from our children's series. Children of Yah was the second commandment. So if you have little ones that you're training up in the way of Yah, you definitely want to go back via our Daughter of Yah channel and have your child or your children to listen to that second teaching. Actually, we're going to go through the entire 10 Commandments. And actually, if you haven't listened to any of them, we have two so far, the first and the second commandment. And so you can find it, again, via the Daughter of Yah channel, the same channel that you listen to all of our audio broadcast teachings. On next Sabbath, I just wanted to make an announcement. Prina's going to be teaching. I will not be teaching. I may step in for a couple of things, but, you know, Yah has given her a message, and so she's going to be teaching next week's Sabbath lesson, so I'm excited about that. And what he has been given to her, she's been, you know, fasting and doing a lot of praying. And so what was originally going to be a Say the Body panel discussion, she stated this morning, this has turned into a lesson. So she's going to teach next week. And so we're all excited about that. She's been beneficial to me on this audio broadcast teaching, so now you're just going to hear from her. And so it'll be good for me to just sit back and listen for a change. And so just wanted to put that out there. So getting into our 146 audio broadcast teaching, I am definitely excited about doing this. If you enjoyed our David and Goliath teaching, you will definitely enjoy today's teaching. It is entitled, The Word Defeated Amalek. And so we know that the book of Exodus records the beginning accounts of what took place with the children of Israel when they exited Egypt and all the way through their entrance into the promised land of Canaan. And so Moses was appointed to be the leader This was a very arduous journey for him as leader as well as the children of Israel. This journey had a lot of threatening challenges, a lot of lessons that had to be learned. One of the lessons, and the reason why I'm doing today's show, and all praises be to Yah, because he's just showing me that when you're being led by his Ruach, you don't have to wonder, what am I going to do? Like he said, don't worry about what you're going to think, what you're going to eat, what you're going to drink. He takes care of everything. And so with me, him giving me this charge, which is an obligation to teach, he's showing me just week after week that if you just relinquish your control and give it over to him, because it's not you, you're just a vessel that he's using to do all of the work, that he will do it. And he's doing it through you. And so today's teaching, the word defeated Amalek, I'm like, okay, this is what I'm doing it on, because up until this point, we really have not touched on this. But I'm being led of the Spirit, and I'm not led of what I want to teach on or, or teach what I think or what I believe or what I think the word should be, but exactly as he is giving it to me. And so with that being said, with the threatening challenges that the children of Israel had and the arduous lessons that they learned, one of those lessons was remember and do not forget Amalek. Do not forget Amalek and what they did to you. And this was a command that was given to Yah himself to his chosen people, Israel. And so with this command, we need to know who is Amalek, because he said, remember and do not forget Amalek and what they did to you. So who is Amalek? What did they do to the children of Israel that angered the Most High so much that it caused him to render such an extreme judgment against them? And we're going to go into that today. And even more so, what is the connection to the Word of Yah and the children of Israel's defeat over Amalek? And so today we're going to not only reveal the significance of what we are commanded to remember about Amalek, but also reveal how the Word of Yah defeated Amalek. And we're going to also include an end-time Messianic prophecy in 1 Samuel chapter 30, verse 18. And so today's teaching is really going to be one of those teachings, like when you had David and Goliath, you couldn't slip on that one. You had to have your notes. You couldn't barely go to the bathroom because you were going to miss something. This is another one of those lessons. So if you have to go, now is the time. We do not, just so that I can give the proper attention that this teaching is going to need, we are foregoing the State of the Body panel discussion today. We do not have a special guest speaker, and we're going to get right into today's teaching. But before we do that, as I do every week, we are going to recap last week's 145th teaching, which was entitled The Foundations of Yah. A very good teaching. It focused on the foundational truth of the faith and how this foundational truth is being challenged by those who hate Yah, by those who are rejecting the Messiah. We know that this world they have removed the 10 Commandments out of the courthouses. Prayers are no longer allowed in schools. They're passing all kind of abominable laws. And there's a strong contempt for our Heavenly Father, Yah. And so as he said in Genesis 6, that violence is upon the earth. And so last week, the scriptural focus was on Psalms 11:3, where it states, if the foundations are destroyed, what will the righteous do? And so what we did last week is we were not only revealed why Yah's purposes, his plans, and his orders will never be changed, no matter how much the wicked try to, but we also taught believers how to stand on the foundational truths of Yah and during all that is going around them, because there's going to be a lot going around you in this journey, in this walk, that is, I call them like arrows shooting at you in every direction, trying to get you off the path that he has led you on, leading you off his foundational truths. Because you can go on YouTube, you can find a zillion teachings that say that they're teaching the word of the Most High Yah, but you measure what anyone says against the word, and that'll tell you everything that you need to know. And so just getting into today's teaching, I just want to just do a quick prayer. Just gracious Heavenly Father Yah, just come before you in the name of our Master, Yeshua HaMashiach, praying, Father Yah, that you will speak in and through me, for I know it is in and through you that I have my being. I pray that you allow your Ruach to teach and to give guidance and to counsel me, and let all those who have an ear to hear what is being said to the assembly. I thank you for your wisdom, your knowledge, and understanding and leading of your set-apart spirit. In Yeshua's name we pray, so be it. So just recapping what we learned last week. Last week we learned that Yeshua is the Word, and he was the Word that was made flesh, per John 1:1 and John 1:14. We also learned that Yeshua is the chief cornerstone. He is the chosen. He is the precious cornerstone upon which the whole foundation is built upon. And so without having to repeat all of what we learned last Sabbath, let's quickly revisit our word study that we did on the foundation, okay? In the Blue Letter Bible, they said the foundation is the basis, it is the support, it is the purpose, it's the whole purpose. The foundation is the purpose, it's the whole reason for any and everything. Thesaurus.com said the same thing as Blue Letter Bible, that a foundation is the basis, it is the support, it's the reason, the groundwork, the preparation. It says it is the authority. The authority is the word, okay? And the support of anything is that which holds up a structure, okay? If you don't have the support, the foundation will fall, you know, or if you don't have the foundation, then you have nothing to stand. And so the foundation of Yah is the substructure, the very basis or the support that holds up all that is of life. The foundation of Yah is the authority that controls and sustains all that it is. His authority is his word. And so everything in Genesis, when Yah spoke it, everything he spoke, whatever he said was his word, and it came into being. It was so. Whatever he spoke came into being. And so Yeshua is not only the word and the chief cornerstone, the chosen cornerstone, according to 1 Peter 2:6, but he's also the sure foundation, according to Isaiah 28:16. He's a sure foundation, which we have just relearned again, okay, is the authority, according to the Blue Letter Bible, the authority of Yah, which is his word. And so we read all throughout about the word. And so let us consider that and keep that in the forefront of our minds as we go into today's teaching. I kind of wanted to reiterate some of the things that we talked about, and knowing and understanding what the foundation is, what his authority is, what the cornerstone is, what our support is. And so keep all of these things in mind as we go throughout today's teaching. So quickly, today we're going to be primarily in one chapter, and that's Exodus chapter 17. But I will be taking you throughout, introducing you to precepts that will help bring greater understanding to Exodus 17. And so if you can quickly go, we're going to first read Exodus 17, 1 through 8. Exodus 17:1. And all the congregation of the sons of Israel pulled up stakes from the wilderness of Sin, according to their journeys by the mouth of Yah, And they camped in Rephidim, and there was no water for the drinking of the people. And the people fought with Moses and said, "Give us water that we may drink." And Moses said to them, "Why do you fight with me? Why do you tempt Yah?" And the people thirsted there for water. So they're upset with Moses because, in their mind, you brought us out and we're thirsty. We don't have anything to drink. And so it says the people murmured. They were murmuring and complaining against Moses. And they said, "Why then? Why then have you caused us to go up from Egypt to kill me and my sons and my livestock with thirst?" And Moses cried to Yah, saying, "What shall I do to this people? Yet a little, and they will stone me." And Yah said to Moses, "Pass on in front of the people, and take with you some of the elders of Israel, and take in your hand with your staff with which you smote the Nile, and go. Behold, I will stand before you there on the rock in Horeb, and you shall smite the rock, and water will come out of it, and the people will drink." And Moses did so before the eyes of the elders of Israel. And so it's one thing to take, and this is what I want to say, it's one thing to take the people out of Egypt, but it's another thing to take Egypt out of the people. Even though Yah had delivered them, they saw everything that he did. We're reading about it, but they were actually there. And they're murmuring and complaining, "Oh, why did you take us out to kill us? If Yah wanted to kill you, why would he bring you out? What would be the purpose of him bringing you out to kill you?" So again, their faith was shaky. They didn't really trust him. This is a sign of just not trusting. Despite everything you see, they saw everything he did, and they're still not trusting them. I don't know what more someone would need to do for me if I saw all of that and then I'm still doubting. And so again, even though the people had been taken out of Egypt, Egypt had not been taken out of the people. They had been saved, but they also needed to be sanctified, and that had not happened, and this was clear. Okay, and as you saw all of what went down in the wilderness with the golden calf, even though they had been saved, they had not been sanctified. They had not been set apart. Okay, their hearts had not been changed. And now, I will not explain any further because I was going to, but I'm being led to wait till the end of this teaching to go back and explain verses 1 through 6. And so just being led to the set of our spirit, I'm going to put a note to myself to go back and to verses 1 through 6 here in Exodus 17 and explain this. But before I do that, there are some pivotal things that must be covered first. And so let's go to verse 7. "And one called the name of the place Massah and Meribah because of the contention of the sons of Israel and because of their testing of Yah, saying, 'Is Yah in our midst or not?'" So again, they're testing him. They're questioning him. We are not to question the Father. They don't trust him. They're like, "Oh, is he with us or not? We thirsty. We don't have nothing to drink. How do we know he ain't just bring us out here to die?" And so while they're in the midst of not trusting Yah, while they're in the midst of, showing a lack of faith despite what he's done, it says in verse 8, "And Amalek came and fought against Israel and Rephidim." Now we see here, Rephidim, that this is something that's happening subtly. This is sudden. This is it's just out of the blue. Here comes Amalek getting ready to attack Israel and Rephidim. Now, before we go any further, we have to find out who Amalek is. Who is Amalek? Okay? We need to know this before we go any further because we're told that we are to remember Amalek and what they did. Okay? So before we go into what they did, we need to first know who they are. Okay? Because you see this whole commotion going on with them mumbling and complaining about being thirsty and then all of a sudden, it just do a quick switcheroo in verse 8, and then it says, and Amalek came and fought against Israel. So this is just something that came out of nowhere. So who is Amalek? Okay. Just quickly, go to Genesis chapter 22. And we are going to read verses 18 and 19. Genesis 22, 18 and 19. And in your seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because you have listened to my voice. And Abraham returned to his young men, and they rose up and went together to Beersheba, and Abraham lived at Beersheba. Now I want to keep going. Go to Genesis 25, because we see, first of all, what I just read, who was the promised seed, okay? Now, we just read about Abraham. Let's keep going. Genesis 25. And we're going to go to verse 34. But we're not going to go to verse 34. Let's start with, Genesis 25. Let's go to 19. And these were the generations of Isaac, the son of Abraham. Abraham fathered Isaac. And Isaac was a son of 40 years when he took Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel, the Aramean, from Pandaram, the sister of Laban, the Aramean, to him for a wife. And Isaac prayed to Yah on behalf of his wife, for she was barren, meaning she couldn't have any children. And Yah was entreated for him, and his wife Rebekah conceived. And the sons struggled together within her. So we are seeing that the sons that she's pregnant with are struggling with inside of her womb. They're fighting in the womb. They're not even out yet, and they're already fighting. And she said, if this is right, why am I this way? And she went to inquire of Yah. So she's like, look, if this is your will, then what's going on in my womb? What's going on? You know, she's trying to figure out what is going on and why are they fighting in my womb. And Yah said to her, I'm on verse 23, Genesis 25, 23. And Yah said to her, 2 nations are in your womb. Even 2 people shall break from your body. And 1 people shall be stronger than the other. And the elder, meaning the oldest, shall serve the youngest. Okay, so the elder or the oldest is Esau, and the younger is Jacob. And it says, and her days were fulfilled to be. My eyesight is changed. You got to bear with me. My eyesight is changing so much. Okay, and verse 24, and her days were fulfilled to her to bear. And behold, twins were in her womb. And the first came out, all of him red, and it says like a hairy robe. So that means he is being referred to. This is a simile because it's using like. The simile is when you compare 2 things using like or as, okay? But it's not exactly the same thing, but it's being compared. Like if I say I'm blind as a bat, well, I'm not a bat, but what we're comparing is my blindness to that of a bat because bats can't see. Okay, that's why their sense of hearing is greatly heightened. Okay, so it says the first came out red like a hairy robe, and they called his name Esau. So Esau came out first. Now, according to the Hebrew, when you have the inheritance goes to the first son, okay? It goes to the first son. So we see that Esau is coming out first. They were struggling in the womb to come out first because of the birthright. So it says that Esau is the first one that came out. Verse 26, and afterwards his brother came out, and his hand was holding to the heel of Esau, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was a son of 60 years old when he bore him. So he was 60 years old when he had his son. And it says, and the boys grew up, and Esau became a man knowing hunting. Okay, so Esau was a hunter, a man of the field. And Jacob was a simple man, living in tents. And Isaac loved Esau, for game was in his mouth, and Rebekah loved Jacob. Okay, and Jacob boiled soup. And Esau came from the field, and he was faint, so he was tired, okay? And Esau said to Jacob, please let me eat of this red soup, for I am faint. On account of this, his name is called Edom. And Jacob said, sell me your birthright today. So Jacob, he's smart. He like, I want the blessings. I want the inheritance. You want this soup? Sell me your birthright. And Esau said, behold, I am going to die. Now, if you want to know more about why he's going to die, it's because of what happened with him and with Nimrod. And you have to go, and I can't remember the book right now to find out, but I'm not going to go off into that. But he presumed he wasn't going to be alive long anyway because of what he had did to Nimrod. Okay? And so he like, look, I'm getting ready to die anyway. He said, so what good is this? So he didn't even care about his inheritance. He didn't even care. He despised his birthright. He didn't want nothing to do. He like, okay, well, I'm getting ready to die anyway. You know, it's no good to me anyway. So what is this birthright to me? And Jacob said, swear to me today. And we see here it says that Esau swore to Jacob and sold his birthright to Jacob. See, he sold his birthright to Jacob. This is what celebrities do when they sell their souls to Satan. The same thing. Oh, you want fame and fortune? Oh, okay. Well, you sell me your soul, and then I'll give you all the kingdoms of the earth. That's what Yeshua did to what Satan tried to do to Yeshua, except for Yeshua didn't take his offer. But many in the world, they're doing that. They're selling their birthright. Okay? For some red stew. 34. And Jacob gave bread and soup of lentil to Esau, and he ate and drank and rose up and left, and Esau despised. So it says he despised his birthright. Do you see this? And then later on, once Esau, I'm not getting ready to go into this whole story, but once he figured out what the birthright was, when his father was blessing him, when Isaac was blessing him, when he was of age, he cried. He regretted it, but it was too late because it was too late. So what we're reading here in Genesis 25 was the struggle from the womb. Esau, and I'm not going into this whole story because it's going to be too long because I have enough that I'm presenting because this lesson is not about what you think it is. But I wanted to bring this out so that you can see. You need to know this because this is important. This is important for you understanding what happened. Okay? He despised his birthright. He sold it to his brother Jacob. Jacob because he came out first, his father was going to bless him first. He was going to bless him and give him the inheritance, but he had blessed Jacob first. His mother Rebekah and Jacob tricked him, okay, and made him. Isaac's eyesight wasn't good. He couldn't really see. He thought that he was blessing Esau, but he wasn't. He was blessing Jacob, and Esau has been angry ever since. He felt that he got tricked out of his birthright, but the point is you sold it and you despised it. The word says you despised it. And so let's go to Genesis 27 verse 41 because this is going to give us the reason for the hate. The reason for the hatred. that Esau has towards Jacob. Let's go to Genesis 27 and let's go to verse 41. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing which his father had blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are near. He says, then I will kill my brother Jacob. This was it. His mother says, Rebecca, she heard what was said, and she said, look, your brother is going to erase him. He's going to ease himself on you. He's going to kill himself. Look at this again. And look at verse 42. Esau is going to ease. Esau is going to ease himself on you. When you do something with ease, it's not something that you do just abruptly. You sit back, you're very crafty with it, and then all of a sudden you pounce it. Okay, he said he is going to ease himself on you and he's going to kill you. As we go through this lesson, you will see that this is going to be a war that's going to go on all the way to the end of with our Messiah. Okay, the scriptures speak of it. And so, but I'm going to be able to bring you back as we go along to what the whole purpose of this teaching is. And so, who is Amalek? Okay? Because I just gave you like some foundational scriptures so that you can see who the promised seed was. And the promised seed is through Isaac. And then Isaac to Jacob. Okay? And Jacob's 12 sons. Okay? It's not to Esau. It was already prophesied and told before that it was going to be through Isaac, and then Isaac through Jacob. Okay? Esau despised his birthright. Yah already knew that he was going to despise his birthright. Did he agree with the way that Rebekah and Jacob did by tricking him? No, but it was already his will. Okay? And so now we know the reason for the hatred where Esau has towards Jacob. And so you're talking about, well, I know you probably think, well, why is she talking about Esau? I thought she was talking about Amalek. She still hasn't told us who is Amalek. Let's go to Genesis 36, and we're going to read verses 10 through 12. Genesis 36, 10 through 12, and that's going to tell us who Amalek is. I had to lay that foundation down first. Genesis 36, verse 10. These, the names of Esau's son, Eliphaz, the son of Adah, Esau's wife, Reuel, the son of Basemath, Esau's wife, the son of Eliphaz, Teman, Omar, Zepho, Datam, Kenaz, Timnah was a concubine to Esau's son, Eliphaz, and she bore who? She bore Amalek to Eliphaz. These were the sons of Esau's wife, Adah. So, Amalek is a descendant of Esau. And so I had to make that point first before we went into this whole story of the word defeated Amalek. You have to understand the foundational. When we look at the wars now, you think of Israel and Palestine over there, warring, over Israel. It didn't just start when they announced them. This has been something that's been going on forever. So you have to, when you see a lot of the wars going on, you have to consider the foundation. How did the origins of it? What was the reason for this? So this is the reason why I had to go back to start with the beginning with Abraham and what was promised to Abraham, and it was through Isaac was the promised seed, and through Isaac and through Jacob. I had to bring you to the story of Jacob and Esau fighting in the womb, okay, taking you through the story of how he sold his birthright, okay, how the scripture says that he despised his birthright. You had to understand that. You had to know Esau before I could bring you into who Amalek is. Now you can see through the genealogy that Amalek is Esau. They're descendants of Esau. So when we read what it said that they did, suddenly Amalek attacked Israel. This is what they did. Now, what is Israel's history with Amalek? Well, we just read it. They came and they fought against Israel. And it wasn't the fact that they attacked the children of Israel, but it was how they attacked them. Because Israel has had many enemies, okay? But it was the way that Amalek attacked them that has the fierce rage of Yah against them. They wanted to hijack or steal or hinder the journey of Yah's chosen people to the promised land. They wanted to make sure they never got there. They did it deceitfully. They attacked the weak and the feeble from the rear, okay? Not from the front, but from the rear, okay? We're going to go more into this in a moment. This story, I'm starting slow, but it's going to pick up. So you please write down notes because you're going to need to do that. If you go to the bathroom, you're going to miss something because it's getting ready to start picking up. Now, this was the first war recorded after Israel left Egypt. When it says that Amalek was the first among the nations, what it's saying is that Amalek was the first recorded war after Israel left Egypt, okay? Amalek was the first nation to attack Yah's chosen people, Israel. So just think about it. You never forget your first. You never forget your first. Your first time you came into maturity for my women, you know, when you came into maturity and you first menstruated for the first time, you never forget that. I remember exactly where I was at and when it happened. You never forget your first girlfriend or your first boyfriend, your first date, you know, the first time you may have lost your virginity or who you lost it to, your first car, and hopefully your first husband, okay? So first, in general, first are extremely important. Yah tells you in his word that the first belong to Yah, okay? The firstborn sons are the ones that receive the blessings, the inheritance. So that's why Isaac was going to bless Esau, whom he thought was Esau, but it was Jacob. And then after it was over with, and Esau was like, Father, bless me, bless me, bless me. You bless me. And he's like, I don't have anything else for you. And he was upset. You know, but I'm like, but you didn't want it. Remember, you despised it. Remember, you thought it was worth some soup. So again, first are extremely important, and they're pretty hard to forget. And so for the children of Israel, Amalek was their first fight. Amalek was the first among all nations to try Yah. They were the first among all nations who thought to attack his covenant people whom he was betrothed to and his soon-to-be bride. So as a man, if you're a man and you're listening and another man tries to attack your wife, what you going to do? Will you not come at the attacker with extreme anger, seeking to annihilate the attacker? Especially when someone is messing with your family, your children, the elderly in your family, the weak and the feeble, the young, a.k.a. the helpless. See, This is what Amalek did to Yah's chosen people. They laid wait and attacked them from the rear and not the front. They attacked them from the back, not the front. And without any alarm of war, without any warning, Amalek attacked Israel when they were weak and when they were tired, because they were just coming out, out of Egypt from slavery. They were tired. You saw them. They were just complaining about being thirsty. So they probably were feeling dehydrated. They were complaining just before it said in verse 8 that, and just out of nowhere, and Amalek, because when you read it, you're reading about them complaining, and all of a sudden it's saying Amalek attacked Israel. That means they just laid in wait, like somebody hiding in the bushes to jump out on you, just watching you and waiting for their chance to attack you. This is what they did, but they didn't do it from the front. They waited, and they got them from the back with those who were vulnerable, those who were weak and tired. Okay? So, in our journey and in our arduous walk with Yah, because even though we're in a wilderness right now, okay? We're on our walk. And while we're in our journey and our walk with Yah, Amalek represents the most deceitful enemy that we will ever have, and that's Satan. Let me say it again. Amalek represents the most deceitful enemy that we will ever have, and that is Satan. Now, you can write these precepts down, because I'm going to be going quickly. I'm going to read 3 precepts. Just write these down. 1 Peter 5 and 8, Job 1 and 7, and then Amos 1 and 11. 1 Peter 5 and 8, Job 1 and 7, and then Amos 1 and 11. So let me read the first one. 1 Peter 5 and 8 says, be sober-minded. That means to be alert, be on guard. It says, be watchful. For your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. He's just like, Amalek is just like Satan. They waited like a roaring lion, seeking who they could devour. They're just like Satan. Job 1 and 7, Yah said to Satan, from where do you come? Then Satan answered Yah and said, from roaming about on the earth and walking around it. What do you think he's roaming up and down walking so that he can go hand out Bible scriptures? No. He's walking around to see who he can deceive, who he can attack. This is Amalek. This is what they did. They lie in wait like the adversary, prowling like a roaring lion, seeking whom they can devour. Amos 1 and 11. Thus said Yah, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof. He says, I will not turn away my punishment. He says, because he did pursue his brother with the sword, and he did cast off all pity. I mean, he said he didn't have no pity on the young, the elderly, the feeble, the weak. He didn't care. He didn't care. You killed them, your brother, with a sword. You didn't show no pity. You didn't show no mercy. You didn't care. And his anger, it said it did tear perpetually. This is a perpetual anger. Remember, Amalek is Esau. They're descendants of Esau. Let's not forget that. It was a perpetual anger. It says, and he kept his wrath forever. Yah is saying it. His wrath is forever. And so Satan, like Esau, Satan, just like Esau, or not just like Esau, but just like Amalek. Satan has a perpetual hatred towards the people of Yah. Okay? He has a perpetual anger that will go forever, will not be put out. And this is why Yah told his chosen people to remember Amalek and what they did to you. He says, remember Amalek and what they did to you. Yah wanted them to never forget. He didn't want them to forget. This is why he told Moses to write this down. We're going to read this in a moment. So, now this is not only a command, okay? Because when he says to write it down, that means it's a command. But it's not only a command, but it's also a statute. Because it says, remember Amalek and do not forget. And he meant that. Don't forget what they did. Now, again, Amalek and what they did to Israel represents a relentless kind of evil that will not stop until it kills you. I'm going to say this again. Amalek and what Amalek did to Israel represents a relentless kind of evil that will not stop until it kills you. And so we are to remember, and just know this, we will have many Amaleks in our life on this journey to the kingdom. We're going to have many Amaleks and many Amalek types. Many Amalek types will be among our very own people. And I want to make this point because Yah has been leading me in the delivery of this message so that it's clear where I'm coming from with this lesson today. Go to Deuteronomy 25. Deuteronomy 25, and we're going to read 17 through 20. All right. Deuteronomy 25, 17 through 20. Remember what Amalek did to you by the way as you came forth out of Egypt, how he met you on the way and attacked you and attacked your back. All the feeble and the feeble ones in the rear, when you were faint and weary, and he did not fear Yah. And it shall be, when Yah your power gives you rest from all your enemies all around in the land which Yah your power is given to you as an inheritance to possess it, you shall blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under the heavens. You shall not forget. So this is a command. Well, we're going to talk about why this command was given. Let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 15, verses 1 through 3. 1 Samuel 15, 1 through 3. And Samuel said to Saul, Yah sent me to anoint you king over his people, over Israel. And now listen to the voice of the words of Yah. So says Yah of hosts, I will visit Amalek with what he did to Israel, how he set himself against him in the way, when he came up from Egypt. Now go, and you shall strike Amalek, and destroy all that he has, and you shall have no pity on him. Why is he saying that? Why is Yah giving a command that I don't want you to have no pity on him? Because they didn't have no pity on his people. They didn't care about the young and the elderly, the feeble, the weary. They were tired. They showed no mercy. So Yah says, look, I'm going to deal with them for what they did to my people. He says, when you go to them, he says, look, you shall destroy everything they have. He says in verse 3, don't have no pity on them. You shall put to death all, from man to woman, from little ones, suckling children, ox, sheep, animals. He didn't care. He wanted all of them dead. On down to the goldfish. Nobody. And Saul listened and mustered the people in, Telam. 200,000 footmen and 10,000 were men of Judah. And Saul came to a city of Amalek and lay in wait in a torment. So you see, Saul is laying in wait, just like Amalek laid in wait to attack Israel. And Saul said to the Canaanite, go, depart. Go out from the midst of Amalek, unless I destroy you with him. For you acted with kindness towards the sons of Israel when they came up out of Egypt. And the Canaanite departed from the midst of Amalek. And Saul struck Amalek from Havilah as you go to Shur, which is before Egypt. And he captured Agag, the king of Amalek, alive. So he did not exterminate Agag. He kept him alive. He's not obeying what Yah told him to do. But he exterminated all the people with the mouth of the sword. And, excuse me, and Saul and the people had pity on Agag. Didn't Yah tell him, didn't he tell him not to have pity? And we see that he's showing pity on the king, okay? And what did he do? He had people on the best of the flock, on the herd, the lambs, and all that he considered to be good. And it says that he was not willing to exterminate them. So he was not willing to obey Yah. Okay, he didn't. But he exterminated everything despised and worthless thing. And the word of Yah was to Samuel, saying, I repent that I made Saul reign as king. So when he repent, Yah's not saying that I sin. Remember, repent means to change your mind. He's like, I'm changing my mind about making Saul the king. He says, for he has turned back from following me. He has not risen to do my words. And Samuel was angry. He cried to Yah all night. And Samuel rose up early to meet Saul in the morning, and it was told to Samuel, saying, Saul has come to Carmel, and behold, he has set up a place for himself and has gone around and has passed over and gone down to Gilgal. And Samuel came to Saul. And Saul said to him, blessed are you of Yah. I have risen to do the word of Yah. So Saul, he doesn't even realize that partial obedience is the same thing as disobedience. He did half of what Yah told him to do. And in his mind, he said, I did all that Yah told me to do. And Samuel said, well, if you did all Yah told you to do, he said, then what then is this noise of the flock that I'm hearing in my ears? What is this sound of the herd that I'm hearing? He's like, why am I hearing animals? Why am I hearing lambs? Why am I hearing that? Why am I hearing all this noise of a flock of animals if you did all that Yah told you to do when he said to get rid of everything? I shouldn't be hearing that. And Saul said, they have brought them from Amalek because the people had pity. Now, see, this is the same thing that Adam did with Eve. Adam was in charge. He's the head. And then when all the stuff went down in the garden, he blamed the woman. Well, this woman that you gave me, well, she's the one. No. When it all went down in the garden, Yah didn't call Eve. He called Adam. He said, Adam, where are you? Because the man, you're the head. He put Saul in charge, and Saul is blaming it on the people. And he said in verse 18, Yah sent you on your way and said, go and exterminate the sinners, Amalek, and fight against them until they are finished. He said, till you finish them. But he didn't do that. So now we see why Yah was so angry with Saul, and he gave the kingdom to David. Because he like, look, you're not going to do what I told you to do. He called it, it's better to obey than to sacrifice. It's witchcraft. Partial obedience is witchcraft. Let's go to 1 Samuel 27, verse 8. If you want to read more of that story, because it's pretty, good story, you're going to learn a lot, but I'm not going to read that whole thing. 1 Samuel 27 and 8. And David and his men went up and attacked the Gershites and the Gezrites and the Amalekites. So we see even David is going to finish what Saul didn't do, which was to exterminate them. And it says, for they were the ones living in the land from the past days. What days? From the days when Saul was supposed to get rid of all of them and save some of them. So he like, look, I'll find the ones, the rest of them that's living. I'll do what Saul didn't do. And it says that he came in, for they were the ones living in the land from the past days as you came into Shur and into the land of Egypt. And it says, and David struck the land and did not keep. And look at this. It says David struck the land and did not keep alive man or woman and took the sheep or oxen or donkeys or camels and clothing and turned back and came to Asham. And Asham said, did you not make raids today? And David said, against the south of Judah and against the south of the Jezreelites and to the south of the Canaanites. David did not keep alive man or woman to bring news to Gath. He didn't leave nobody alive to come back and tell anything. He says, unless they speak against us, saying, so David has done, and so has been his custom all the days that he has lived in the fields of the Philistine. And Eschrish trusted David, saying, surely he has made himself to be hated among his people in Israel, and he has become my servant forever. So David did what Saul didn't do. He didn't leave none of them alive. He said the rest that was living from back in the day, I took care of them. He did what he was supposed to do. Go to 1 Samuel. Now this prophecy here, I'm like, wow. Chapter 30. We're getting ready to go to a Messianic prophecy. 1 Samuel chapter 30. And we're going to read verse 18. Verse 18. And it says, and David recovered all that the Amalekites had taken. And David recovered his 2 wives. Now, this is a prophecy. David recovered all that the Amalekites had taken, and David recovered his 2 wives. David, as we have learned from the David and Goliath teaching, is David is a Messianic type of king. When it says David recovered all that the Amalekites had taken and David recovered his 2 wives, David represents a Messiah as being king here. And David rescuing his 2 wives, this is the 2 houses, Judah and Israel or Ephraim. I hope you got that. This is a Messianic prophecy right here that we're looking at 1 Samuel 30, verse 18. David here is once again as he was in the David and Goliath teaching. If you did not hear that teaching that we did, you might be a little confused about what I'm talking about. Go back and listen to the David and Goliath teaching. All throughout, that was a Messianic teaching. That David was represented as a Messianic or Messiah type as king. Same thing here. David is and this is a prophecy of the Messiah as king, rescuing his 2 wives. His 2 wives here, when David's 2 wives of him being the Messiah type, the 2 wives are the 2 houses, Judah and Ephraim or Israel. Now, let's continue to go back. Let's go back and finish with our teaching. Exodus 17. What I've just read for you I wanted to show you some of the history that our people have had with Amalek, okay? Exodus 17. Let's go back to Exodus. Exodus 17, and we are on. Let's go back to pick up from where Amalek attacked Israel again. You know, they were verse 1 through 7. Israel's complaining about being thirsty. You know, we don't have any water. Oh, you brought us out here to die. And then all of a sudden it says in verse 8, and Amalek came and fought against Israel in Rephidim. And Moses said to Joshua, and many of this is Yeshua, because this is really what Joshua means, Joshua. But Moses said to Joshua, choose men for us and go fight against Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on the top of the hill with the rod of Yah in my hand. And Joshua did as Moses had said to him to fight against Amalek. And Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up to the top of the hill. And so it was that when Moses lifted his hands, Israel prevailed. Now, I want you to highlight, first of all, I want you to highlight rod. That's in verse 9, where it says, with the rod of Yah. When Moses said, I will stand at the top of the hill with the rod of Yah, highlight rod or underline rod. And then where it says in verse 11, it says, and when Moses lifted his hands, Israel prevailed. Highlight that. And then when he rested his hands, Amalek prevailed. So we get ready to do a word study with rod, because they're like, oh, that's how you getting ready to do it, Amalek? Okay. You're going to try to sucker punch us from the back and try to get the ones that's weak. You ain't coming up in the front with the warriors. You want to go, okay, we got you. I need you to get an army together because we getting ready to fight against Amalek. Israel did not play back in the day. We will go to war if you were attacking our people. But so it says that Moses said he will stand up on the top of the hill with the rod of Yah in his hand. And then it says when Moses held his hands up, it says that Israel prevailed. And then when he rested his hands, it says that what? Amalek prevailed. So rod, because it says that he was going to go to the top of the hill with the rod of Yah in his hand. Okay, Blue Letter Bible for rod, in the context in which it is being spoken of in this particular verse, says a branch of vine. Vine. The branch of, and it has in parentheses, of the vine. Who is the vine? And who are the branches? Who's the vine? We know this is Yeshua. We taught, at the beginning, I laid the foundation. Who is the Word? Yeshua is the Word. It says a company led by a chief with the staff. Who is the chief cornerstone? Because I laid that foundation in the beginning, and we learned about this last week. Yeshua. Strong Hebrews 3925 says to teach, to instruct, the scepter. What is the Torah? Is not his Torah his teaching and his instructions? Strong Hebrews 4294. It says a rod, whether for chastising, figuratively for correction. Is not his word for correction? For building up the body? Doesn't that tell you that in Timothy that that's what the word is for? Correction. It says ruling, a scepter. And then it says in Strong Hebrews 4294, it says support of life. The support of life. Did not we learn last week that Yeshua is the foundation, because his foundation is his word, and that Yeshua is the word? And then we learned that foundation means support. Didn't we learn that last week? All praises be to Yah. That's why when I tell you it is so important to be led of the Spirit when you're doing things, because Yah is putting everything together. Every teaching that I've been doing week after week after week, they have been building one upon the other. He has been laying the foundation. We wouldn't have this thorough understanding if we would not have had the teachings that we have had in the past, even all the way up until last week. And then look at the final thing it says. Strong Hebrews 4294 also says, in addition to the rod being a support of life, but the bread. Who is the bread of life? Is that not our Messiah, Yeshua, who is also the foundation, who is also the support, who is also the word, and his word is his Torah, and his Torah is the teaching and instruction, and he is the vine of the branch? All of this that I just have given you is the word study for rod, according to the Blue Letter Bible, Strong Hebrews, and Thesaurus.com. So it says that Moses went to the top of the hill. He was like, oh, you want to fight against us? Okay, that's all right. I got you. I'm getting ready to go to the top of the hill with a rod of Yah in my hand. This is Yeshua. Do you understand this? This is the word. Go to Daniel 9 and 11. Go to Daniel 9 and 11. Well, we're gonna go there right quick. We're gonna go there in a minute because I'm gonna just hold off. Let me do some more explaining. So remember, the rod represents the word, the teaching and instruction. It represents support. Now, we just learned in Strong Hebrews 4:2-9-4 that it represents this. The rod represents the support of life and the bread of life. This is Yeshua. Okay? All power and authority has been given over to him. It's been given into his hands. It's been given into his hands. All power and authority has been given into the Messiah's hands. So, when we go back to Exodus 17, verse 11, go to verse 11, and it says, and so it was when Moses lifted his hands, Israel prevailed. And when he rested his hands, meaning put his hands down, Amalek prevailed. And so the lifting up, when you uphold, and you continue to uphold, and you continue to abide and keep his word, the support, because the rod is the support of life. The rod is the bread of life. Okay? That's your everything. When you have the bread of life, when you have the support, and you are continuing to walk in his word and keep his word, you're able to stand. You're able to prevail against the enemy. Okay? The word of Yah, the sword of the Spirit is the word of Yah. But it says when he put his hands down, when he rested, now Amalek prevailed. Remember, we talked earlier, Amalek is a representation of Satan. Okay? When you step away from the word, when you put the word down, meaning you no longer walk according to the word, you no longer uphold the foundations of Yah, you no longer have support, you no longer have life, the bread of life. You have nothing to do with it. Amalek, didn't it say Amalek prevailed? In this case, we're talking about Satan, the enemy. Whoever the enemy is. Doesn't matter if it's Amalek or whatever nation. This is symbolic of when you uphold the word, when you lift up his word, you stand for his word, you have support in your life. You have the bread of life, who is the source of all life. You have power. When you uphold his word, you have been given authority. When you uphold his word. But then when you put it down, you no longer have any authority. You no longer have any power. They don't have any power or authority, no matter how much they try to pretend they do in the Christian church. They don't have it because they have turned away from the bread of life. They don't have the support of life. Their foundation is unstable. So that's why Satan has been able to prevail in the Christian church. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so through this conflict with the Amalekites, Yah is teaching. He's teaching them his requirements. He's teaching them the certainty of stepping away from or not upholding his word. What will happen? The word is the whole armor of Yah. And we need his word. We need to uphold his word in order to be victorious when waging war against the enemy, Satan. Because he tells you that you will not be able to stand. You will not prevail. Let's go to Ephesians 6. Go to Ephesians 6. Keep your hand on Exodus 17. Go to Ephesians chapter 6, because I like to always just make things clear. Let me see here. Ephesians chapter 6. Then, let me see. For our conflict, go to verse 12, Ephesians 6 and 12. For our conflict is not with flesh and blood, but with principalities and with those in authority and with the possession of this dark world and with the evil spirits that are beneath the heaven. Because of this, take up all of the whole armor of Yah, that you will be able to resist the evil one and be prepared. You shall stand. You're not going to prevail. Yah is telling you right now in Ephesians 6 that you are not going to be prepared. You are not going to be able to stand, and he said you will not prevail in verse 13. He says, then stand firm. How do you stand firm? Having your loins girded about with truth. Having on the breastplate of righteousness, having your feet shod with the preparation of the good news of peace. Above all, taking up the shield of faith, in which you will be able to quench all the flaming darts of the evil one when they come when Satan come to attack you. Because remember, he is going to come seeking whom he may devour. When he comes attacking you, when you're weak, when you're weary, when you're tired, when he think you vulnerable, because you uphold the word, because you have the rod in your hand, Yeshua, you will be able to withstand all the darts that he throw at you. Also, put on the helmet of salvation and taking up the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of Yah. This is the only way you're going to be able to prevail against Satan. Amalek represents that. When you uphold the word, when you keep the word, when you obey the word, you prevail, you stand, you have support, you have power, you have authority. But when you put the word down, you have no power, you have no authority, you have no strength. Go to Daniel chapter 9. Daniel 9. Go to Daniel 9. We're going to read verses 10 through 14. Daniel 9, 10 through 14. We have not obeyed the voice of Yah, our power, to walk in his Torah, which he set before us by his servants, the prophets. Yes, all Israel has transgressed your Torah and have turned aside that they might not obey your voice. For this reason, the curse has been poured out on us. What does it say as the reason? The curse has been poured out on us because we have not obeyed his word. That's why. And that's the only reason why we suffer in these curses. It's the only reason why he is using the other nations to spank our behinds up is because we did not obey. We put down the rod. We didn't hold the rod up. We put it down. It says, and therefore the curse has been put on us, and the oath that is written in the Torah of Moses, the servants of Yah, because we have sinned against him. He said he has confirmed his words, which he spoke against us, and against our judges who judge us, by bringing on us a great evil. For under the whole heavens it has not been done as it has been done to Jerusalem. As it is written in the Torah of Moses, all this evil has come on us. Yet we did not make our prayers before Yah, our Yah, that we might turn from our perversities and understand your truth, understanding your foundation. And Yah has watched over the evil and has brought it on us. Yah has done this. So we can stop blaming other nations. When you know what his word says and when you understand why we're in the condition we're in, you don't have time to be blaming nobody else. I read all of this to say in Daniel 9, okay, this is the prophet. Every time Israel disobeyed the Torah, his word, which is his power, which is his authority, which is his rod, every time they disobeyed it, every time they put the rod down, the nations became our adversaries. We can't stand. We fall before our enemies every time we put it down. However, when we obey Yah's word, when we uphold his word and we keep his word, he fought for us and we prevailed against our enemies. And so, it is pretty safe to say that when we obey his word, we prevail, and when we disobey his word, we prevail if not. So I want to read a couple of precepts. Go to Exodus 23. We're going to read verses 20 through 22. Exodus 23. We're going to read three scriptures. Exodus 23, 20 through 22, Genesis 12 and 13, and Deuteronomy 30 and 7. These first three scriptures I'm going to read is going to show you that when Israel obeyed Yah, he cursed their enemies and he fought for them and they prevailed. Exodus 23 and 20, behold, I am going to send an angel before you to guard you along the way and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Be careful and pay attention to him and obey his voice. Do not rebel against him, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. But if you carefully obey his voice and you do all that I say, then I will be an enemy to your enemies and an adversary to your adversaries. This is Yeshua. Who do you think he was talking about? If you don't know who Yeshua is before he came into the flesh, who he was all throughout the Old Testament, go back and check out our teachings. Who is Yeshua? Yeshua is the messenger of Yah. He is the way of Yah. He is the foundation of Yah. Okay, no man has seen or heard Yah ever. Everything that he did it through him. And I'm gonna prove it today. That I'm not just talking. He says, be careful to pay attention to him, that you obey his voice. He said, don't rebel against him. Don't rebel against who? He's talking about Yeshua, his word. He says, for he will not pardon your transgressions. For your name, he says, my name is in him. But if you carefully obey his voice and do all that I say, Yah says, if you obey me, I will be an enemy to your enemies and I will be an adversary to your adversary. Why is it that our enemies that surround us, that's killing and beating all our brothers and sisters, why is it that why is he not fighting for us? Why is he not doing that right now? Why is he not doing that? I just got finished reading it. We have not obeyed his word. We have been just like Saul in the Christian churches and in Israel too, partially obeying him, being nitpicking with what we want to believe and what we want to follow and what we don't. That's why he's not an enemy to our enemies, and that's why he's not an adversary to our adversaries. He's turned his back on us because his people who are called by his name have not repented. They haven't humbled themselves. So he's not hearing anything. In fact, your prayers are an abomination to him right now. Because you turn your ear away from hearing the Torah by teaching in your Christian churches that his law is done away with. So whoever turns his ear away from hearing the Torah, he said even your prayers are an abomination. Genesis 12 and 13 says, and I will bless those who bless you, and the ones who curses you I will curse, and then all the families of the earth will be blessed. Deuteronomy 30 and 7, Yah, your power will inflict all these curses on your enemies and on those who hate you, those who persecute you. Yah is not inflicting anything on our enemies right now. He's not doing anything about the people who are persecuting his chosen people right now because we have not repented. We have put down the rod. Now, the next two scriptures I'm going to read is because Israel, when they did disobey him, Yah sent his enemy, our adversaries against us. So let's go to 1 Kings 11. We're going to read 11 through 14. 1 Kings 11 through 14. When Israel disobeyed Yah, he sent their enemies against them. Let's read a couple of those examples. 1 Kings 11 and 11. And Yah said to Solomon, because this has been done by you, and you have not kept my covenant and my statutes that I charged on you. We know what the covenant is, an agreement. we walked away from the laws. We know that statutes teach you how to keep his law. They give you boundaries. They give you a limitation. So Israel, we could not just do whatever we wanted to do. Yah gave us boundaries. That's what his statutes do. It teaches you how to keep his covenant. He says, you haven't kept my covenant, or you have not kept my statutes that I charged on you. What is a charge? We learned that before. That charge is an obligation, what you're obligated to do. You are obligated because you entered into this covenant. You're obligated to keep my commandments and do what I told you to do. And how I told you to do them. Not just do them, but do them the way that I said to do them. Just for those of you who keep celebrating all these feasts, however you please to do them. He says, I will surely tear the kingdom from you, meaning I'm going to take it from you, and I'm going to give it to your servant. Only I will not do it in your days for the sake of your father David. I shall tear it out of your son's hand. Only I will not tear away all of the kingdom. I will give one tribe to you from the sons of my servant David. See, he kept Judah, the house of Judah, and for the sake of the Jerusalem that I have chosen. And it happened, Yah raised an adversary. See, Yah raised an adversary to Solomon. Hadad, who did he raise? He raised an Edomite. Who is Amalek, a descendant of Esau? Why did he do this? Because he just hated Esau because he just hated him? No. We stepped away from his covenant. He said, you didn't keep my covenant. You didn't keep my statutes. You didn't keep my charge. So since you did this, I'm going to take the kingdom away from you, and now I'm getting ready to send an adversary after you. Who did he send? An Edomite. He was the seed of the king in Edom, Hadad. Let's go to Judges 6, 1 through 5. Quickly, Judges 6, 1 through 5. I'm just reading, too, because everything must be established by 2 to 3 witnesses. So I gave you 3 witnesses that shows that when Israel obeyed Yah, that he cursed their enemies and he fought for them. He went before them. He sent his Malakim, or his messenger, that is Yeshua, to go fight for them. He always did that when they obeyed him. But as soon as they disobeyed him, he said, I'm going to send your adversaries against you. So we need to stop blaming the adversary and start looking in the mirror and say, me. It's me. What am I doing that's causing y'all to send my adversaries after my behind? We don't ask that question. We just want to keep talking about hate the white man. No. Why is he allowing it? Ask that question. What is that we're doing? We're sitting around here breaking all his commandments and then got the nerve to be hating the white man and all the other nations and talking about them when we're not even obeying the covenant, the statutes, and the charge that he has given to us. You can't go around hating other nations and you're being disobedient. What separates you from them? Judges chapter 6, verse 1. And the sons of Israel did evil again in the sight of Yah, and Yah gave them into the hands of Midian 7 years. Remember, Midianites were those nations that he told them not to marry because they were going to turn their hearts away from him. They didn't listen. And says, and the hand of Midian was strong against Israel. So he don't send our adversaries against us. He don't send the Midianites against us. And the sons of Israel made dens for themselves before the faces of Midian in the mountains and the caves and the strongholds. And it happened after Israel had sown crops, Midian and, look at this, Midian and Amalek. Y'all don't send Midian and Amalek. And the sons of the east came and they fought against Israel. They encamped against them. They destroyed the produce of the land until they entered Gaza. They left no food in Israel, no sheep, ox, or donkey, for they came up with their livestock and with their tents. They came in like locusts for number, and there was no number to them, to their camel, and they came into the land to destroy it. Are you looking at this? Let's go back to our story. Let's continue. Go back to Exodus 17. I just had to show you this. Exodus 17, 11 through 16, because I wanted you to see the significance of when we uphold the rod, when we hold the rod up. The rod is Yeshua. Yeshua is the word. The word is the teaching and the instruction, the support, the bread of life, the vine. These are all the words that describe the rod in this context in which it's being spoken of. Okay? I wanted you to see that. When we uphold it, when we obey it, we prevail. He fight for us. When we put it down, we're weak. We have no power. We have no authority. We have no support. We will not prevail. He's going to send our enemies after us to destroy us. So continue with Exodus 17:11 through 16. Verse 11, Exodus 17 and 11. And so it was that when Moses lifted his hands, Israel prevailed. And when he rested his hands, Amalek prevailed. And the hands of Moses became heavy. Okay, so now he's getting tired of holding his hands up. He's getting tired. It takes a lot to hold your hands up for a long time. And it says, and they took a stone and put it under him. So his arms are getting tired of holding up this rod, okay? And so it says they took a stone, highlight stone, and they put it under him. And he sat on it. And Aaron and Hur, they held up his hands, one from this and one from that side. So one stood on one side. Just picture you with both of your arms up, holding the rod. Looks like a staff. You hold the rod, and your arms are getting tired. And you know that as long as you hold the rod up, your people, Israel, are prevailing. But if you get tired and put it down, then Amalek prevails. So they put a stone under him, and he sat on the stone, the rock, okay? And one person held up his hands on one side, Aaron was on one side, and Hur was on the other side. And it says, and his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. Highlight steady. Highlight stone, highlight steady. It says Moses sat down on a stone. In other words, he rested. He sat on the stone. He rested. Who is our rest? Yah, it says, Yah brought helpers. Who is the rest? I'm hoping that you all yelling. I can't hear none of y'all. I hope y'all over there yelling, Yeshua, our Messiah. Yah brought helpers to him to support him. Yeshua is our rest. He is our support. When we get weary, when we get tired, he can support us. Remember, when Yeshua was in the Garden of Gethsemane, and he was weak. Remember when he was in the garden, he was weak after he was fasting for 40 days and 40 nights, after he was tempted during that time by the devil? The scripture says that he sent support. The scripture tells us that Yah sent Malachim, meaning he sent angels to minister unto him, to give him support. As we, the body of our Messiah, we are commanded to support any member of the body that becomes weak. We support them with the word. That is what we support them with. We support them with the word. We minister unto them. When our brothers and sisters are getting weak, we minister unto them with the word. We minister unto them that they might be edified, that they might be strengthened in Yah's word. As so, when it says that Moses sat on a stone and rested, this is symbolic of resting or finding rest in Yeshua, who is the word, who is our support when we are heavy laden. Let's go to a couple of precepts. Quickly go to Matthew chapter 11. Matthew chapter 11, and we're going to read verses 28 through 30. Matthew 11, 28 through 30. Matthew 11 and 28. Come to me. This is Yeshua talking. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Are you looking at this? Come to me, all of you who are weary and burdened. Moses was weary and burdened. He was tired. He says, and what did he do? He sat on, they put a stone under him. He sat under the rock. He sat on it, and he rested. And then Aaron stood on one side, and then Hur stood on the other side. They supported him when he was weak, just like Yah sent Yeshua angels to come minister to him after he had been tested, when he was being attacked for 40 days by Satan, to give him rest. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. He's talking about his word, his foundation. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. He says, for I am gentle and humble in heart. He says, in me you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. It says Moses said his hands was heavy. And when he sat on the rock, the stone, he was given rest. Take my yoke upon you, learn from me. You will find rest for your soul. My yoke is easy, my burden is light. He sat on the stone, his burdens was lifted. It was lightened, and he had support. Go back and read it again. Go to Exodus 33 and 17. Exodus 33 and 17 says, and Yah replied, and I want you to look at this, Exodus 33 and 17. Yah replied, my presence will go with you, and I will give you rest. Who is his presence? This is Yeshua. He's talking about. He says, my presence will go with you, and I will give you rest. Yeshua is Yah's very presence on the earth. That's why he said, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. So if you abide in his word, then you are resting in him and shall enter into his rest. Only those who are disobeying his word, those are the only ones that will not rest in peace. So when you see people when they die and people always put RIP, rest in peace, you are not resting in peace if you're wicked. You are not resting in peace if you put the rod down, if you had no support, if you were not walking and obeying the foundational truths. That's why Yah said that there is no rest for the wicked. Stop saying rest in peace for the little Pookie and them, who you know was robbers and murderers. They are not resting in peace. They're not resting in peace. I hear people talking about rest in peace to Barbara Bush. That was Aleister Crowley's daughter. Did you know that Barbara Bush, that Aleister Crowley was her father? How many of you knew that? She's not resting in peace. Stop saying rest in peace to people who lived a life as a reprobate and hated Yah and rejected the Messiah. They are not resting in peace. Yah said they shall not enter into my rest. They will not be resting. Hebrews 4 and 11 says, let us therefore make every effort to enter into that rest, so that no one will perish by following their example of disobedience. I'm going to read this again. Hebrews 4 and 11. Let us therefore make every effort to enter into that rest, so that no one will perish by following their example of disobedience. Who example? He's talking about those, our forefathers that were in the wilderness. The same ones who Amalek attacked. Because only a few of them made it out. Joshua and Caleb and the ones who were, I think, under 18 or 21. Another point I want to make. When it says, my presence will go with you, again, Yeshua was his presence all throughout the Old Testament. His name is there all throughout the Old Testament. What is he talking about when he says his name? Is he just talking about because it's saying Yah? No. What is his name? Yah's name means eternal or self-existing one. His name, Yeshua's name means Yah's salvation or the salvation of Yah or Yah saves. That's what Yeshua's name means. Yah's salvation. The salvation of Yah, or Yah saves. That's what our Messiah's name means. Yah's name is in him, because Yah said he is saved, that none saves. I am Yah. None saves but me, besides me. People misunderstand that scripture. Then they try to say, oh, see, that's why there ain't no Messiah. This is the reason why our people are confused right now, because, first of all, you got to be able to understand the scriptures. If you don't have a set apart spirit, you can be reading the same scripture somebody else reading, and they will have no understanding because he's not giving it to them. He's not giving it to them. That's the reason why people are just spewing and throwing things out that makes no sense, because it contradicts scripture, is because they don't have any understanding. You don't get understanding without having this ruach. Just because you're baptized in water, if you haven't been baptized in both the water and the spirit, meaning if you don't have his ruach, you will have no understanding. His name, he says, don't rebel against him because my name is in him. Yah is self-existing, eternal one. Yeshua's his name means the salvation of Yah. Yah saves. Yah's salvation. That's what his name means. So whether the Israelites or even Moses himself, whether they realize it or not, the Messiah was with Israel during those 40 years in the wilderness. That's who they were communicating with. I'm going to prove it to you. The voice in the burning bush that you find in Exodus 3, that was Yeshua. The rock or the pillar of cloud by day and the pillar and the fire that was leading them all throughout the night, that was Yeshua in Exodus 13. The leading of them and communicating, helping them to cross the Red Sea, that was Yeshua. The manna from heaven, that was Yeshua. The source of living water, that was Yeshua. The Messiah's name, again, is all throughout. Yah saves. The salvation of Yah. He is the salvation of Yah. He came and he fulfilled the duty. That's why it says in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Yah, and the Word was Yah. He says that nothing was created without him. He did it all. He was the one he did it through. He's the one that has all power and authority, and he gave it to him. He said he is sitting at the right hand of the Father. He is the hand of the Father. He was his very presence on this earth. That's why he said, look, if you don't ask me about who the Father is and when we're going to see him, he said, if you see me, you already don't see the Father. If you know me, you already know him. That's why no man comes through the Father but through him. They were the ones. Israel communicated all throughout the Old Testament. They were hearing Yeshua. The commands, the leading, everything, Yeshua. When you see when he says, I'm going to send my messenger before you, the messenger of Yah, that is Yeshua. That's Yeshua. I'm going to read a few scriptures. I'm going fast. Just write them down. Genesis 49:18 says, I have waited for your salvation, O Yah. Psalms 14:7. Oh, that the salvation of Israel would come out of Zion when Yah restores his captive people. Jacob will rejoice. Israel will be glad. Psalms 53:6. Oh, that the salvation of Yah would come out of Zion. When Yah restores his captive people, let Jacob rejoice. Let Israel be glad. Luke 3:6. All flesh will see the salvation of Yah. What is these scriptures talking about? Who is the salvation of Yah? I'm gonna tell you something. I'm giving all praises to Yah for this lesson, because when I tell you I did not know what I was going to do until Thursday, I mean that. I have been talking to Preet. I'm like, I don't have a clue what I'm going to do, and it's Thursday. Normally by Thursday, I'm done writing the lesson and I'm just cleaning things up. I was getting nervous and I thought I was going to have to cancel. And then all of a sudden he gave it to me. I'm going to prove to you, when I Googled Yah salvation, I want you right now, if any of you are near a laptop or a computer, Google on your phone, on your laptop, Yah's salvation. And tell me if you do not see Wikipedia is going to say Yeshua. Google it. When I Googled, all I did was, and I said, Yah's salvation. That's it. It came up, it said Yeshua. That's the first thing I saw. That's what his name means. He is the salvation of Yah. All throughout Scripture, he's a messenger of Yah. He is the salvation of Yah. When he says Yah saves, when they're saying, oh, we can't wait for the salvation of Israel, he's talking about Yeshua. These are all prophecies. He was going to be coming in the flesh. They said in Luke 3:6, all flesh will see the salvation of Yah. Now, let's go back to Exodus. We're going back to verse 12. Because I have one more point that I want to bring out. Verse 12. Exodus 17 and 12. And the hands of Moses became heavy, and he took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it. And Aaron and Hur held up his hands, Aaron on one side, Hur on the other side, and his hands were steady until the going of the sun. So now, because he has found rest, he has support, and Aaron is on one side and Hur is on the other holding it up. Now his hands were steady. His hands are steady. And it said his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. Now, let me give you a precept. I want you to go to Isaiah 28 and 16. Keep your bookmarker in Exodus 17, but I want you to quickly go to Isaiah 28 and 16. Isaiah 28 and 16. Therefore, the Most High Yah said, look, I have laid a stone in Zion. Who is this stone? This, again, is Yeshua. He said a tested stone. This is a stone that has been tested. Yeshua, when he came here, he was tested and tried, and he never sinned when he came here. He prevailed. It says a precious cornerstone. Didn't we learn this last week that the precious cornerstone was Yeshua? It says a sure foundation. And it says the one who believes in him will be unshakable. Moses' hands were steady once he had support. His hands were steady once he had rest, once he sat on the stone, the precious cornerstone, the sure foundation. He had support when he had the foundation. He had Aaron on one side, he had Hur on the other, and it says the one that believes is unshakable. His hands were no longer shaking because he was weary or tired, because his burdens had been lifted. He says, my yoke is easy, my burdens are light. He became steady once he had support. Once he was on the stone, that precious stone, that precious cornerstone, that sure tested foundation, and the one who believes in him, who believes in the foundation of Yah, his word, it says you will be unshakable. Though you may have an enemy that will attack you, you will find rest. You will remain steady until the going down of the sun, until you prevail. It says that he said, I have laid a stone in Zion. This is talking about Yeshua. A tested stone, a precious cornerstone, a sure foundation, the one who believes will be unshakable. That means you will be steady because you're steadfast. Go to Isaiah 48 and 13. Isaiah 48 and 13. Isaiah 48 and 13 says, my hand has also laid the foundations of the earth, and my right hand has spanned the heavens. Who was the one in the beginning, he said, that did all of the work and there was nothing created unless he created it? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Yah, and the Word was Yah. Who is his hand? Who is his hand? He says, my hand. Who was all authority and power given to? Didn't the scripture say was given to our master Yeshua? Who is the foundation of Yah? Is that not Yeshua? He says, my right hand has spanned the heavens. Who was doing all the work in the beginning of creation? Who's sitting at the right hand? Well, he said, my right hand has spanned the heavens. Who's at the right hand of the Father right now? Is it not our Messiah? So why did Moses have to hold up his hands? What does this picture remind us of? Think about that. Think about that. What does this remind you of? Moses holding his hands. Hold up both of your hands right now. Hold up both of your hands. What does that remind you of? Yeshua conquering sin on the stake or the tree. See, they hold it out like the T. No, if you do the history on when you, for crucifixions, when they put you on, it's on the tree, his hands was up. His hands was up. Moses holding his hands up, the word, and Yeshua is the word, was symbolic of Yeshua conquering sin on the tree, on the stake. The battle in Exodus 17 is a type or a shadow of what will be accomplished through our Master. How he will prevail over sin and take the authority and the keys from death. Not just on a physical battlefield, but representing a spiritual battlefield. In Hebrew, a banner is a pole. It's a sign. It says that in strong Hebrews, a banner, because we're going to see this in a minute when we finish reading. In the Hebrew, a banner is a pole. It's a sign. It's something that is lifted up. When you have a victory and you win a war, you put a flag on it. That's your stamp on it. That means you have prevailed. It's something that's lifted up. It's a pole. He held up his hands. When we are to pray, and Yah is showing me through this lesson that when we start praying, we need to hold our hands up. When we're praying and we're speaking the word, we're speaking the word and praying. And our forefathers, when you read throughout scriptures, they didn't pray holding your hand in a triangle and with your head down. They lifted their hands up. This describes the posture, the Israelite posture for praying. Moses had to pray. Moses was speaking the word. He had his hands up. He had the word. Let's finish up this chapter. Go to verse 13 and 14. Exodus 17, verses 13 and 14 reads, and Joshua defeated Amalek and his people by the mouth of the sword. Highlight the mouth of the sword. Joshua defeated Amalek and his people by the mouth of the sword. And Yah said to Moses, write this a memorial in a book and set it in the ears of Joshua. He says, and I will utterly wipe away the remembrance of Amalek under heaven. Who or what is the sword of Yah? Did not David come in the name of Yah? When we did the teaching on David and Goliath? Did not David say, I come in the name of Yah? Meaning I'm coming in the word. Did he not pick up the stone, the rock, to kill Goliath? Who is the stone? Who is the precious cornerstone? Who is the rock? Was not the stone a representation of the word? And finally, who will defeat our adversary by the coming sword of his mouth? Who's going to do that? Is it not our Master Yeshua? So when we read that Joshua defeated Amalek, this is speaking of Yeshua. The Word, that's why today's teaching is entitled, The Word Defeated Amalek. Let's read verse 15. Let's read verse 13 again. And Joshua defeated Amalek and his people by the mouth of the sword. And Yah said to Moses, write this, a memorial in a book, and set it in the ears of Joshua. And I will utterly wipe away the remembrance of Amalek under heaven. Verse 14, verse 15. And Moses built an altar and called his name Yah Nisah. And he said, a hand is on the throne of Yah. A hand is on the throne of Yah. War is to Yah with Amalek from generation to generation. Do you understand this is, when he says a hand is on the throne of Yah, war is to Yah with Amalek from generation to generation. This is an end time prophecy that's going to eventually end with Yeshua fighting Amalek. Let's go to some precepts. Numbers 24, quickly. Numbers 24, 17 through 20. Numbers 24, 17 through 20. I shall see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but not near. A star leads forth out of Jacob. A scepter shall rise out of Israel. This is talking about Yeshua. And shall dash the corners of Moab, and break down all the sons of Tumut. And Edom shall be a possession, and Seir shall be a possession for his foes. But Israel shall do mightily, and out of Jacob shall rule, and will destroy the survivors from Ar. And he looked upon Amalek, and took up his parable, and said, Amalek was the first of the nations, but his latter end is to destruction forever. So again, remember, when it says Amalek was the first among the nations, what does that mean? Well, we learned earlier. They were the first nation to attack Yah's chosen people when they came up out of Egypt. They were the first to attack and make war with Israel. And what did they do? They sucker punched them from the back. They were deceitful. They were deceitful on how they did it. Israel didn't even see them coming. They over here worried about drinking water because they thirsty, and here come Amalek out of nowhere. At least with the Philistine, the giant, and if you didn't know, the Philistine, that means uncultured and barbarian, by the way. Okay? It means, Philistine means uncultured and barbarian. So, at least with the Philistine, the giant, at least he didn't attack David from behind. When he met him face to face. He said, who want to fight me? Okay? So David had time to prepare. He didn't get sucker punched. Go to Judges 3. No, Judges 6 and 33. Judges 6 and 33. Judges 6 and 33 reads, Then all the Midianites and the Amalekites and the children of East were gathered together and went over and pitched in the valley of Jezreel. Okay, so this is the same place where the final battle will take place between Yeshua and the serpent seed, the seed of the serpent. Remember, Yah told Saul to get rid of King Agag. He was Amalek, okay? He was Amalek. Agag, and we're getting ready to go into the final battle that Yeshua is going to have. And it's going to be these same people. Remember, this is a perpetual hatred, and Yah said that he's not going to turn away his punishment, okay? Agag, remember, Saul saved and had pity on Agag. Agag was the king of the Amalekites, the same people that he said don't show no pity to because of, remember, what they did to you. He didn't want to remember. It said that he was unwilling to kill him. He was unwilling. He didn't want to listen. He was unwilling, it says, to annihilate him. Agag, write this down. Agag, A-G-A-G, equals Gog, G-O-G. Agag equals Gog. And Gog, according to Septuagint, is Agag, a generic term that they use for the kings in Amalek. Now, any war that was against the children of Israel, when it came to these people, any war they raged against us, it was meant to annihilate us, okay? Numbers, when you read Numbers 24 and 7, it'll kind of give you a little bit more information on that. Let's go to Revelations chapter 16. Okay? Go to Revelation 16. We're going to read verses 13 through 16 because we're going to read about this final battle. Armageddon is also called Megiddo, and it's also known as the Valley of Jezreel. Jezreel, Jezreel. This is a place where many wars have taken place. And again, this is going to be the place where the final battle is going to happen between Yeshua and with Gog and Magog, also a.k.a. Amalek. Okay? So this battle that started the first war, when they attacked us, when we came out of Egypt, it's going to end with the same two people. It's going to end with the same two people. In the Hebrew, it's called Har Megiddo, H-A-R, Megiddo, which means the mount where the armies will gather, or a war on the mount. I'm going to say this again. Armageddon in the Hebrew is Har Megiddo, which means the mount where the armies will gather, or a war on the mount. So let's read about this battle. Revelation 16, verse 13. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs coming out of the mouth of the dragon. We did a lesson on the 3 unclean spirits like frogs. It was a fantastic lesson. If you did not hear that lesson, please go back and check that lesson out. But it says, and I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. For they are spirits of demons doing signs which go forth to the kings of the earth, even of the whole inhabitable earth, to assemble them to the war of that day, the great day of our Most High Yah, Yeshua. Behold, I am coming as a thief. See, he said, I'm going to roll up on you. You ain't even going to know when I'm coming. Okay? He said, blessed is the one watching and keeping his garments. That's why he says, remember Amalek. Be on guard. Watch out. Okay? Keep your garments. This is talking about, this is spiritual. You got to keep holding your rod up. You got to keep abiding in him. You can't let down your support, your power, your authority. You got to be watchful because your enemy, Satan, is roaming around like a lion seeking whom he may devour. You will not be able to prevail if you don't hold up that word, if that rod. He said, blessed is the one watching and keeping his garments, that he does not walk around naked. When you naked, you are ashamed. That's why Adam and Eve when they got naked, they are ashamed, because that's when you mixing the clean with the unclean, like we talked about before. The sacred with the set apart. It's about uncleanness. They were ashamed. He says, and he assembled them in the place, having been called in the Hebrew Har Megiddo. This is what I was telling you. So, end-time Babylon, this is Mystery Babylon right here, where we live in the United States. End-time Babylon controls the global world system in which all the other nations are going to be assembled unto her. Only the United States with the United Nations in New York fit this criteria. okay? We did a teaching, Prina and I, about 4 or 5 years ago about that, who was Mystery Babylon. We talked about that. Go to Revelation 17, verse 14. Revelation 17 and 14. These will make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb will overcome them, because he is the Master of masters, the King of kings, and the one with him are the called and chosen and faithful ones. So he's going to be bringing his called and chosen and faithful ones to fight this war. This war is going to be just like it started. The first war, the first and the last war is going to be with Israel and Amalek. It's not going to end. Revelations 19, verses 11 and 20. Go to Revelations 19, 11 through 20. I'm reading all these precepts. We're primarily in Exodus 17, if you haven't guessed by now. But I have to read all these precepts so that I can make sure that you truly understand what I'm talking about. Okay. Let me see here. Hold on one second. Let me get this. All right, so I lost my place. Hold on one second. I lost my place. Let me go back here. All right. Okay, Revelations 19, 11 through 20. And I saw heaven being open, and behold, a white horse, and he sitting on it, having been called faithful and true, and he judges and makes war in righteousness. And his eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns with many titles written on it. And one of the titles that had been written no man knew but he himself, and having been clothed in a garment which he had dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of Yah. And his name is called the Word of Yah. The Word defeated Amalek, as we get ready to see again. And the armies in heaven follow him on white horses, being dressed in fine linen and white pure. And out of his mouth goes forth a sharp sword. Out of his mouth goes forth a sharp sword. And with it he might smite the nations, and he will shepherd them with an iron rod, And he treads the winepress of the wine of anger and of the wrath of Yah Almighty. And he has on his garments and on his thigh a name having been written, King of Kings and Master of Masters. And I saw one cherub standing in the sun, and he cried with a great voice, saying to all the birds flying in mid-heaven, come and gather together to the supper of the great Yah, that you may eat the flesh of kings, the flesh of captains, and the flesh of strong ones, and the flesh of horses, and of the ones sitting on them, and the flesh of all, both free men and slaves, even of the small and great. And I saw the beasts and the kings of the earth, and their armies being assembled to make war with the one sitting on the horse, and with his army. And the beast was seized, and with this one, the false prophet, doing signs before it, by which he led astray those having received the mark of the beast, and those worshiping its image. The two were thrown alive into the lake of fire, burning with brimstone, and the rest were killed with the sword of the one sitting on the horse, and the sword having gone forth from his mouth. And the sword having gone forth from his mouth, and the rest were killed with the sword of the one Yeshua sitting on the horse, the sword, the Word of Yah, that have gone forth from his mouth, and all the birds were filled from their flesh. And so in Exodus, going back, in Exodus 17, it reads, and Yah said to Moses, write this, a memorial in a book, and set it up in the ears of Joshua. He says, I will utterly wipe away the remembrance of Amalek under heaven. When it says, remember what Amalek did to you in the way, when Amalek did to you in the way when you were coming out of Egypt, how he met you in the way, how he attacked you from the back, all the feeble ones in the rear, when you were faint and when you were weary, when you did not, and he did not fear Yah, he says, and it shall be when Yah, your power, gives you rest from all your enemies all around you in the land, which Yah, your power, is given to you as an inheritance to possess it. And it says, he says, you shall blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven. You shall not forget. He wants you to remember. In the Blue Letter Bible, remember means to recall, to be mindful. When you were in the way, what does it mean? When remember what he did to you when you was in the way? According to the Blue Letter Bible, this means journey. Figuratively, your course of life. They were on the journey, on their way to the promised land that Yah had promised to them in the land of Canaan, the land flowing with milk and honey. He says, remember what they did. Be mindful of what they did to you when you was on your way to the land that I promised to give you. While you was on your journey, it says a road, meaning a course of life, a mode of action. We're all on the road right now. Let's go to the book of Obadiah, because there's only one book. Go to Obadiah, the first chapter. If you're in the Hebraic Roots Bible, it starts at page 808. Obadiah. There's only one book, one chapter. The vision of Obadiah. So says Most High Yah concerning Edom. We have heard a message from Yah, and a messenger is sent among the nations. Rise up, and let us rise up against her for battle. Behold, I have given you to be small among the nations. You are greatly despised. The pride of your heart has deceived you, dwelling in the clefts of the rocks. His dwelling is lofty and saying in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Though you rise high as an eagle, and though you set your nest between the stars, I will bring you down from there, declares Yah. If thieves come to you, if destroyers by night, how would you have been cut off? Would they not have stolen until they had enough? If the grape gatherers come to you, would they not have left you gleanings? How Esau is searched out, his hidden things are sought out. All the men of your covenant have dismissed you to the border. The men who were at peace with you have deceived you and have prevailed over you. They are setting your bread as a snare under you. There is no understanding in him. Shall I not in that day even destroy the wise out of Edom and understanding out of the mount of Esau? Amalek is part of that mount. And your mighty ones, O Teman, shall be afraid, so that each man from the mountain of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. Shame shall cover you from violence against your brother Jacob, and you shall be cut off forever. On the day of your standing on the other side, on the day that the stranger took his force captive, and foreigners entered his gates, and cast lots from Jerusalem, even you were like one of them. But you should not have looked on the day of your brother, on the day of his alienation, nor should you have rejoiced over the sons of Judah in the day of their destruction, nor should you have enlarged your mouth in the day of distress. You should not have entered into my people's gate on the day of his calamity. Also, you should not have looked on his evil on the day of his calamity, nor should you have sent out against his force in the day of his calamity. Nor should you have stood on the crossway to cut off those of him who escaped. Nor should you have shut up his survivors in the day of distress. For the day of Yah is near on all the nations. As you have done, he says, it shall be done to you. Your reward shall be upon your own head. Yah's not playing around. He is not playing around. So the same people that were in control of Israel then when they attacked our people are the same ones who are in control right now. Who was in control during the time of our Messiah? Was it not Herod, the Edomite, a.k.a. the Idumean? They try to hide up under these names. Herod, Edom is Amalek, Edom is Idumean. That's where he was born. Herod, an Idumea. He's an Idumean, and he is an Edomite. And who is in control of the land of Israel right now? Rome. I did a lesson on this 5 years ago. I wrote a lesson. And what many people don't realize is Rome, they are Edom. A lot of people don't know that. You will have to, I did not do an audio broadcast teaching on it, but I did do a lesson. Okay? I did a lesson on that. Read the Maccabean revolt that followed when they eventually threw over the Greek domination. In 36 BC, the Roman Senate, they declared King Herod, the king of the Jews. He was not the king of the Jews by blood because he is not of Judah, but he was nominated. Okay? He's Esau. They are brothers, but these were two different nations. But the point I'm trying to make, this is not a lesson about Esau. This battle is Yah's. This battle is Yah's, is not our battle. And this is the teaching that our people can't get, and what the Most High Yah wants me to bring out. The battle is Yah's. It's not our battle. Our people, because of the hatred that we are displaying to other nations, now we have people rejecting Yah and the faith of our Messiah. Now they think that we're in a hate cult because of it. I want to go to a couple of precepts, and this was something that Yah unctioned me to add, because I was done with this lesson yesterday. And then this morning he woke me back up and you're not done. And these were the things that he wanted me to present, and I'm presenting them. So Exodus 22 and 21, if you can quickly go there. Exodus 22 and 21. Exodus 22 and 21 says, you shall not wrong a stranger, or some of your Bibles may say a foreigner. You shall not wrong a foreigner or oppress him, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. Go over to Exodus 23 and 9. Exodus 23 and 9. You shall not oppress a foreigner or a stranger, since you yourselves know the feeling of a stranger, for you were foreigners in the land of Egypt. So he says we are not to wrong. We are not to do wrong or to oppress or to mistreat someone just because they're of another nation, because they have a certain skin color. Because he says you were strangers in the land. You know what it feels like. We are strangers right now. We are foreigners. We are over here in America, but we are not American. We are Israel. We are being oppressed right now. And we're a stranger in a land that he says you nor your forefathers haven't known, but it's because, as I read earlier, we stepped away from his covenant. We didn't keep his statutes, his judgments, his charges, and now he has sent our adversaries against us. We're being oppressed. We're being afflicted. We are strangers in this land. We are foreigners in this land. We are not to do what they are doing to us. We are not to have the spirit of hatred in our hearts. Because many of our brothers are teaching this and they're spewing this, they cannot see the love of Yah in you. They cannot see the hope of Yah that is in you because they can't get past the hatred that you're putting out there. They can't see the word of Yah. They can't accept it. That's the reason why they think that we're in a cult. They think that we're a hate group because of the hatred that is being spewed out of our mouths. Yes, Edom. Yes, Amalek. Yes, he has said, remember what they did. But what is he talking about? Does he say, remember what they did, now you hate them because they hated you? You don't show them no pity because they didn't show you none? That's part of our job right now. Let me go to Leviticus 19 and 34. I'll get to that. Go to Leviticus 19 and 34. Leviticus 19 and 34 says, the stranger or the foreigner who resides with you shall be to you as the native among you. They are to be as if they are natives. When our people were in Egypt, and after Joseph did what he did in saving them from the famine, our people were treated well. Joseph was second in command after Pharaoh. Our people were foreigners and strangers in the land, and they were treated well. They were not slaves at first until the new Pharaoh came, and he didn't, in the scripture say, he didn't know what Joseph did. But they were not treated horrible the whole time they resided in Egypt. And so Yah expects for us to treat others the same way that we would want to be treated. In Leviticus 19:34, he said, the foreigner or the stranger who resides with you shall be to you as a native among you. You shall love him as yourself, for you were a foreigner in the land of Egypt. I am Yah, your father. He says, wherever you be, he said, do your best to try to live in peace. You don't do that when you go out, and it burns my soul and it grieves me when I hear how people speak, and when people put these YouTube videos out. It's made my job of teaching and trying to get people to understand this walk is not about a cult. It's not about a religion. It's just about us just keeping the word, upholding the rod. They can't see that because they see so much garbage when they Google the Israelites, and they see all this foolishness and hear our people speaking hatred towards other people. They can't receive this. I would never go around mistreating somebody because I think you Esau, because I think you Amalek, and I'm looking at your skin color. You can't tell who just because of somebody's skin color. It's a lot of people who think we Africans, and because we got dark skin. African and Egyptians were two different dark-skinned nations, but they were not the same. You can be mistreated. I was mistreated by an African the last time I went on vacation with my husband, and I'm taking a shuttle, and it was an African driver driving the super shuttle. And when I got on, I was the first one on there. He had an attitude from the beginning when I got in there. And then when it was 3 white people that got in there. First it was a white woman. She was about my age. She got in there. He greeted her. Then when it was an older white couple that came, he got out and helped them in there. He told me to go and move over. And it's got all this space for them to sit, but they wanted to sit where I'm sitting. So he going to try to make me move over, and I didn't move. And he's like, I need you to move, and just being just real mean-spirited towards me. And I didn't move. And then when they got off, do you know that he came out, opened the door, helped the older white couple out of the van when I got to the airport, and then held the door open and helped the white female that was my age, greeted them, gave them a beautiful send-off, said, have a safe trip. And then when I got off, do you think he helped me get down out of the van? No, he did not. I said, in spite of how he was acting, I still showed the love of Yah. I said, you have a nice day. He didn't even open up his mouth. He gave me this ugliest look and handed me my suitcase like, get out of my face. And I told my husband I will never ride on that super shuttle again. A lot of them Africans do not like us. And do you know why? Because they know that we're not them. But do you notice how he treated the white people, the Caucasians that were on the bus? Completely different than how he treated me. So that's why I don't get caught up in because somebody's skin color. I've had people who were Caucasian and white who have treated me way better, who have been more supportive to me than my own. Even Yeshua was rejected and killed by his own people. So this message today that y'all wanted me to get out, remember Amalek and what they did is not about, go hate Esau. See, I told you. That's why we can't. No, that's not what this is about. Yah gave me this, and he is giving to me exactly what he wants me to say. He says in Leviticus 19:34, the stranger, the foreigner who resides with you shall be to you as a native among you. You shall love him as yourself. So what you wouldn't do to yourself, you wouldn't do to somebody else. How you wouldn't speak to somebody else, you wouldn't want somebody to speak to you, you wouldn't speak to somebody else. How you wouldn't want someone to treat you is not how you would treat somebody else. He says, for you were foreigners in the land of Egypt, and I am Yah, your father. They treated us with kindness. They treated us as if we were native-born Egyptians, even though we weren't. They didn't mistreat us. Oh, you Israel, we get ready to mistreat you. We get ready to talk to you. Oh, we can't talk to you. We can't do anything. Oh, I can't go out to dinner with you because you Israel. No, they treated us with kindness. Deuteronomy 23:7. Go to Deuteronomy 23:7. And what I'm speaking is what Yah has given to me and what he wanted me to add on this morning to make sure that we stay on track. Deuteronomy 27:3 says, you shall not hate an Edomite. You shall not hate. Some of your Bibles might say despise. Some of your Bibles might say abhor. But he says, you shall not hate, despise, abhor an Edomite, for he is your brother. That's our brother. You shall not hate an Egyptian because you were a stranger, a sojourner, a foreigner in his land. People, this is Torah. What I'm reading is Torah. This is a command given to you by Yah. Exodus 22:21, Exodus 23:9, Leviticus 19:34, all say the same thing. He says, I am Yah, your father. That means I am giving you this command. He's telling you, he's giving you the law, and he's telling you how to treat them. This is not only a law, but this is a statute. I'm reading Torah, Exodus and Leviticus and Deuteronomy. Now, if you want to argue with somebody, then you argue with Yah. Because he says, I am Yah, your father, meaning I have spoken it. Yah said, Jacob I love, but Esau I hated. He said that. But we are not to walk around with that hatred spirit in our heart. Yah said he hates Esau, and he said, I'm going to deal with him. Our job is to remember what they did for a specific purpose. We are commanded by Yah himself to remember this war because there's a spiritual significance to it in our lives today. Amalek and what they did to the Israelites should serve as a reminder that we are to be mindful of those who would try to bring spiritual blindness to our journey, our walk. As you're on your walk to this promised land, to the kingdom, they were on their way to the promised land of Canaan, our forefathers. Just as we are on our way, us upholding this rod, we're on our way to the promised land, the kingdom. Don't mess it up. Don't mess it up, because you're going to have people. Be mindful of your enemy. Be mindful. Keep in remembrance of what happened to our forefathers, the Israelites. Be careful not to allow someone to attack you as you are on your journey to the kingdom. The Amalekites represents those who will come at you when you're most vulnerable. They will come in the back door. They're going to come suddenly without warning, striking you, hoping to take you off your path, the straight and narrow path. I want to go back quickly because I told you in the beginning when I read Exodus 17:1-6, that I was going to explain, and I told you that I was being led to wait until the end, and I said I'm going to make a note. Okay, that's what I'm getting ready to do. So if we can quickly go back to Exodus 17, and I'm going to read 1-6 again. Exodus 17, 1 through 6. And all the congregation of the sons of Israel pulled up stakes from the wilderness of Sin according to their journeys by the mouth of Yah, and they camped in Rephidim. And there was no water for the drinking of the people. And the people fought with Moses and said, "Give us water that we may drink." And Moses said to them, "Why do you fight with me? Why do you tempt Yah?" And the people thirsted there for water, and the people murmured against Moses and said, "Why then have you caused us to go up from Egypt to kill me and my sons and my livestock with thirst?" And Moses cried to Yah, saying, "What shall I do to this people? Yet a little, and he said, in a minute, they're going to stone me." And Yah said to Moses, "Pass on in front of the people and take with you some of the elders of Israel, and take in your hand your staff, which you will smote the Nile, and go. Behold, I will stand before you there on the rock in Horeb, and you shall smite the rock, and water will come out of it, and the people will drink." And Moses did so before the eyes of the elders of Israel. Now, this is symbolic. I want to read John. Go to a precept. I got two precepts, actually three. John chapter 4. Because what you're looking at is symbolic of, once again, of Yeshua. It's happening all over again. Yeshua. Go to John, the book of John, chapter 4, and then we're going to read verses 14 through 15. All right. "But whoever drinks the water I give him will never thirst." I'm going to read this again. This is Yeshua talking. "But whoever drinks the water I give him will never thirst. Indeed, the water I will give him will become in him a fount of water springing up to eternal life." The woman said to him, "Sir, give me this water so that I will not get thirsty and have to keep coming here to draw water." Go to John 6. Go over 2 chapters. John chapter 6, verses 35, and then we're going to read verses 51. John 6 and 35. "Then Yeshua declared, I am the bread of life." See, we talked about that earlier when we read that the rod means the support of life and also the bread. When Moses was holding it up, the rod, then Yeshua says, "I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never go hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty." He said, "Whoever believes in me will never be thirsty." When we read earlier about being steady, he was steady once he had the support. He was unshakable. You couldn't shake him. He had the support. Yeshua says he's the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never go hungry. Whoever believes in me will never be thirsty. They were thirsty because they didn't believe. That's why they was complaining. They had no trust. They saw everything that he did, yet they still complaining. Was not the rod described as the bread by the Blue Letter Bible? Again, they were complaining because they didn't believe. Who was with Israel? The mixed multitude. We did a lesson on that. They're the reason for the complaining. They were the ones that led the evil influence amongst Israel. And eventually they separated themselves from the mixed multitude. Go to John 6 and let's go to 51. We already in John 6. Go down to verse 51. Yeshua said, "I am the living bread that came down from heaven." Isn't that the manna? We talked about that earlier. I am the living bread that came down from heaven. Just see, he was in the midst of them the whole time in the wilderness. He says, "If anyone eats of this bread, he will live forever. And this bread which I give you is for the life of the world, is my flesh." I want to read 2 precepts that will prove that Yeshua was with the children of Israel in the wilderness. Go to Numbers 20:7 and 8. Numbers 20, 7 and 8, because I'm almost done. Numbers 27 and 8. Then Yah spoke to Moses, saying, take the rod, you and your brother Aaron, gathering the congregation together. Speak to the rock. Say it again. Speak to the rock before their eyes, and it will yield its water. Thus you shall bring water for them out of the rock and give drink to the congregation and their animals. Take the rod. Take the rod. Yah spoke to Moses, saying, take the rod. You and your brother Aaron gather the congregation. And then he says, speak to the rock. And it will yield its water. And thus you shall bring water for them out of the rock and give drink to the congregation and the animal. What did Yeshua say? I am the bread of life. Whoever believes in me will never go thirsty. Whoever drinks the water, he says, I give him, will never thirst. Didn't he say that? The woman said, look, give me this water so I don't have to keep coming back being thirsty. She said in John chapter 4. Now, here's the proof. Go to 1 Corinthians 10. We're going to read verses 1 through 4. I'm going to prove, I've been saying this whole time that Yeshua is the rock, that he was with them in the wilderness, that rock that Moses sat on. Now I'm getting ready to prove it. Go to 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 1 through 4. Moreover, brethren, I do not want you to be unaware that all our fathers were under the cloud. All our fathers were under the cloud. This proves to you, this is Paul, the Apostle Paul, Shaul speaking. This proves to you that those strangers and foreigners that he was talking to were Israelites. These were Israelite strangers. He says, moreover, brethren, I do not want you to be unaware that all our fathers were under the clouds. The only people whose fathers who was under the clouds were those who were Israel. He said, all our fathers were under the cloud. All of them passed through the sea. Who passed through the sea? When people keep trying to graft in all these other nations, all the nations wasn't in the sea. That was Israel. He says, all were baptized into Moses in the cloud and in the sea. All ate the same spiritual food. What was that spiritual food that he dropped down in the wilderness? It was manna. All drank the same spiritual drink. What drink was that? He says, for they drunk of that spiritual rock that followed them. Who was the one that was following them? What does it say? Let's read this together. And that rock was Yeshua. Are you looking at this? This is it. This is the proof right here. Yeshua was with them. Paul is telling you, and what people keep rejecting the New Testament, the renewed covenant, he's letting you know that it was Yeshua that was with them the whole time in the wilderness. He was the one that gave them the spiritual food, the manna. He's the one that gave them the water that came out of the rock. He was that spiritual rock that Moses sat on and held up the rod. He was with them as a pillar of cloud by day and fire by night. He was with them and leading them as they were going through the sea. He was the one that was doing the work and parting the sea. That rock, he said, was Yeshua. That was the foundation of Yah. That Yah was saving. Yah saves. The salvation of Yah. Do you understand this? So, we, like Israel, will have many conflicts. We're going to have many conflicts. We will have many enemies who will, just like the Amalekites, who will try to hijack our journey, who will try to stop us on our journey. We will have many enemies who will try to hinder us from getting to the promised land, a.k.a. the kingdom. This is why we are called to walk the narrow path. And it's called the narrow path because it's going to be difficult. There will be suffering. That's not what they teach you in the Christian church. But this narrow walk, in the Hebrew, I revealed this a couple years ago. In the Hebrew, narrow means suffering. In the Hebrew, it means to suffer. That's why it's narrow. That's why it's difficult, because you don't have as much space. There's limitations. There's boundaries. If you're walking on a high wire, you don't have much footing to the left or the right. Yah said don't step to the left or to the right. Walk on a high wire and try to step to the left or the right and see won't you be on the ground. You got to have one foot in front of the other looking straight ahead. The narrow path, the straight and narrow walk, there's not that many people on that path. It's more difficult, and there will be suffering along the way. You're going to have people, while you walking on that high wire, that narrow path, you're going to have people throwing darts and arrows. Satan is going to be using everybody to try to get you off that path to the promised land. Just like I stated earlier, Satan's job, his whole MO is to hinder your growth in Yah with falsehood and with false teachers, and to ultimately stop you, just to stop your entire walk. To stop your entire walk with Yah. That's his goal. His goal is to destroy you. That's Satan's whole goal, is to destroy you. That's why the scriptures say he comes to kill, steal, and to destroy. That's what he come for. And Amalek represents a Satan type. Amalek was the first among the nations to attack Yah's chosen people, Israel. That's why Yah hasn't forgotten, and he told us not to forget what they did. Just like Satan, he was the first. Think about this. Amalek was the first to attack Yah's chosen people, Israel. Just like Satan was the first to attack mankind, Yah's chosen, Adam and Eve, the first to be created in his image. I'm going to say this again. Just like Amalek was the first nation to attack Yah's chosen people, Israel, Satan was the first to attack mankind, Yah's chosen, Adam and Eve, the first to be created in his image. And just like Amalek, he's gonna destroy him. So again, Satan will be the first among many of your enemies, many that you don't even know is your enemy. You could be sitting up under a teacher that's your enemy, that's teaching you falsehood, leading you astray, and you don't even know it. Talking about, I trust him with my life. He's my covering. Again, Satan will be the first among many of the enemies that you will encounter in your life. Many. You're going to have many enemies that are going to seek to derail you from getting to the promised land, the kingdom of Yah. But they're not going to attack with guns and knives, because this battle cannot be won with guns and knives. This is a spiritual war. We read this in Ephesians 6. We're dealing with spirits in high places, demonic spirits, fallen spirits. You can't beat a gun and beat a spirit with a gun and a knife. This is spiritual warfare. The only way you're going to prevail is upholding that rod, the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of Yah. They will all begin with attacking the word. Yeshua is the word. There's an attack on our master Yeshua right now, even within the Hebrew Israelite community, attacking the Messiah, causing many of our people to turn away from the word, to put down the word, which is the rod, Yeshua, to put down the support, the bread of life, the vine, teaching that he didn't exist, that only Yah saves. They have no understanding. That's why you have to be very careful of who you're listening to. A lot of these people that's in Israel, they don't have any. Israel is all over the place. That's why I tell people, stay away from YouTube. If YouTube is your teacher and you're not studying to show yourself approved, you're not being led of his ruach, you're going to be all over the place in confusion, just like our people are now. Yah is not the author of confusion. Again, they're going to begin with attacking the word. They're going to begin attacking the foundation of Yah. We see the foundation of Yah, as I talked about last week, being attacked every day. I just read something yesterday where now on the bill in, I think it's California, They getting ready to ban Bibles because they're calling it hate speech. Yeah, we're going to have to talk about that. We might have to talk about that next week. That's a bill that's on the table. They're calling it hate speech. The Bible is all coming into fruition. This is my dream that I had years ago about the Bible. They will begin attacking the foundation of Yah. Satan has already sent his false prophets out to deceive the whole world. T.D. Jakes, Joyce Meyer, Creflo Dollar, all of them, even the one that died. He's sending out his false prophets, his false teachers, and many of them are in Israel right now today. So stop getting fooled by skin color. Stop getting fooled by somebody because they got their hair wrapped up, because they can speak Hebrew, because they got on tassels and they wearing a beard, or they got a following or a congregation. Stop looking at the outward appearance is what Yah is telling me, because he says he doesn't look at the outward appearance. People thought, so he's like, oh, I rejected him. I know, don't look on his stature. Don't look at, he look nice. No, he look like he Hebrew. No, he look like a leader. Yah says, I have rejected him. He says, I am not like man who looks at the outward appearance. He says, I look at the heart. There will be many people of other nations that's not Israel that will be saved. And there will be many of Israel who will not be saved. So stop getting caught up in that. Again, they're going to begin attacking the word, the foundation of Yah. Satan has already sent out his false prophets to deceive the world that they might cause you to fornicate and commit adultery with a strange woman, the whore, the prostitute. That's what my whole dream of judgment was about. And so you can either be one who puts the rod down when you're being attacked and ultimately be defeated, or you can keep holding on, even though you're weary, even though you're tired of being attacked, your trials, your tribulations, your persecutions, all the suffering that you're enduring. You're getting tired. You're holding the rod up. You're getting tired. You can either decide to put that down and ultimately lose this battle, or you can continue to hold on and prevail over the enemy. The only person that's stopping you is you. Remove the snares that are in your life. Whatever it is that's hindering you in your growth, that's stopping you from doing what Yah has called you to do. You are to press forward, press towards the mark. Don't look to the left, don't look to the right. Endure. Because only those that endure to the end shall be saved. You're going to have plenty Amaleks that's not a descendant of Esau that's coming at you. And trust me, baby, they coming from right in the Hebrew Israelite community. Plenty of them, paid agents, working for the government to throw you off. They're laying in wait with their false doctrine. Shalom and Canaan got on the outfit, speaking Hebrew. They have done all of that. Satan is very patient when he wants to deceive you. He will sit and lie and wait for centuries to do what he's doing to Yah's chosen people, Jacob, right now, and he's leading you astray. So some of y'all so caught up in Obama, y'all don't even know that he's getting ready to lead this whole UN. Y'all want 4 more years. You getting ready to get your 3.5 years when he show back up as an anti-Messiah. You forget the fact that he has changed the sanctity of marriage, that he has made abortion legal, all the perversion that he has allowed. Everything that's perverted that's going on now is because of him. All you care about is because of his skin color. Forget about the skin color. Start looking at the heart. That's what Yah is showing me. That's what he wants delivered today. Look at the heart of people. Who cares? I don't care if you white or not. If you serving Yah, I'm going to love on you just like I would my brother or my sister.
Amalek, Esau, has no blessing coming because Esau sold his birthright. He despised his birthright. Despising his birthright is synonymous with despising the word. So do not be like Esau. Do not despise your birthright. Do not despise the inheritance that has been given to your forefathers. Despise not the covenant of Yah. Despise not the foundational truths and teachings of Yah. Fear not what man can do to you, but fear him who has the power to kill both the body and the soul. He said that no weapon formed against you. If you upholding the rod, you upholding his word, you got the support, you got all power and authority. He says no weapon formed against you will prosper. No matter what they do, it's not going to stand. He says, for if Yah be for you, who can be against you? So I want to say this, and then I'm going to call Preeny in. If you are one of those who are stuck in Christianity, or those who are stuck in churches who are assembling with those who are questionable about their teaching, you've been like, they've been saying stuff is not lining up. Even if you're amongst those that look like Israel, you are not obligated to remain amongst the congregation of the dead. Your obligation, a.k.a. your charge, is to Yah and Yah alone. He is your salvation. This is about your soul. It's about your final resting place. Paul tells you in 1 Corinthians 5 and 6 to deliver your soul from such persons, or to remove yourself from anybody who doesn't want to get rid of sin. If you're around somebody that don't want to get rid of the sin in their life, don't embrace their sin. Don't embrace this person. If they want to embrace their sin, If they love homosexuality and adultery, this is what's wrong with Christianity right now. That's why the whole head, he said, is sick. We're not supposed to embrace sin. We're not supposed to love the homosexual and love the adulterer. We don't allow the sin to continue in the church and make them a pastor and make them over the choir. That's what they do. There is no alternative lifestyle in the kingdom. They don't tolerate sin. If Yah says it's a sin, then it's a sin. We don't make them feel comfortable. Come on, God is love. Because if others see they sin and you don't made the homosexual over the choir and he ain't repented, now everybody else think it's okay to live an alternative lifestyle. Because what? God know my heart. That's why sin running rampant in the Christian church right now. Because we don't deal with sin. We don't teach on repentance. If a person doesn't want to do what it's going to take to be delivered from the sin, then he says remove this person far from the congregation. A little bit of leaven leavens the whole lump. So when he says remember Amalek, Preeny, you can come in. Remember Amalek and what Amalek did.
Amen.
He's not talking about skin color. He's not talking about hate them. Remember what they did and walk around in hatred. It's spiritual. He is a type, just like Satan was, to lead you astray, to get you off the path, to lie, wait, and attack you when you're vulnerable. Come from the back. He who comes in the back, he says, is a thief and a liar. You can come in. I'm done. Anyone got any questions or comments about today's teaching? Press *6 on your phone. Your thoughts on today's teaching? What you got from this?
I'm in, sis. Wonderful show. Lesson rather. What I got was just stay on your A game and not allow, like you said, the Amalek type, which is because we're going through a spiritual warfare, to take us off the prize, which is Yeshua, because in the end, Yah told us that his word will defeat Amalek, and we have to believe what Yah's word says. And we know that Yah tells us that vengeance is His. And so we have to believe what Yah has told us and what He is going to do for us. And in the meantime, although we may be oppressed or attacked by Edom and Amalek or Amalek types, we can't hate our brother and we can't hate those foreigners, because we were once a foreigner, and we have to follow Yah's word as He has given it to us. And I'm just constantly being reminded of it, because when you did the statutes and the commandments and the charges, you know, those things are very important, because partial obedience, as we saw with Saul, is just like witchcraft and rebellion, and that's what got our brothers and our sisters in the trouble and the curses that fell upon us. But what stood out the most is when you did the word study on Rod, and how it linked back to the cornerstone chief, and the foundations, and how Yeshua, you know, because we taught the lesson, but it just brought just more, I don't know what word to use, but, you know, that Yeshua has been here all along. And He's going to be the same ones. He's going to be fighting Amalek in the end with the sword, which is Yah's word. I mean, I just see redemption all over the place. And I just, you know, I love how you use the prophecy of David and how it relates to Yeshua redeeming the two houses, Judah and Ephraim, and how it related into when David recovered his two wives. And
it was, because David, remember from David and Goliath, that was Messiah. Like,
yes. And so, I mean, you know, this lesson right here just a reminder to let us know that all the hatred that or the hurt that we may have from the spanking that we're getting from not only Edom, but it's our curses, and we have to look past that, and we have to not only look past it but forgive and not hate our brothers, because Yah told us not to. Yah has said He hates Esau, but He told us not to hate them, and so we have to do what Yah word has said. And I just, you know, it's just a reminder, you know, because we have a lot of people that, you know, are teaching against, teaching hate the white man or hate Esau, or, you know, but he has nothing coming for him but Yah's wrath, and he's going to be destroyed completely when Yeshua come again. And so I just really love this lesson, and it's just, you know, a reminder to just keep, like you said, keep our focus on our narrow road. And, you know, and that this is a spiritual battle that we must fight. But in the end, we need to be sober-minded and know where our enemies are lying and waiting to get us off our game, because our inheritance is promised to us if we stay and endure to the end. But if we put our rod down, Yah's teaching and instructions, you know, He will be against us, just like He was when Moses, you know, when he showed how Moses, when his arm went down, Amalek was winning, and then when they saw that was happening, and Aaron and Hur put the rocks up and he rested, and I love how you used he rested how Yeshua, when he was came off his fast, and the angels came and ministered to him to give him encouragement. So this whole lesson is not to hate the white person. It's just, or hate Amalek or hate Esau. It's to let us know that we need to remember what they've done to us, so that we won't be off our A game when we see that kind of attack upon us, because over and over again we see our brothers attacking, and all they want to do is push this Black Lives Matter movement and rallies and different things, when they need to go back and get the rod. their instruction and their teachings and uphold it. Because when Yah is for us, he's for us. But when Yah is against us, he's against us.
Yeah, I mean, he did tell them, like Saul, to annihilate them, to get rid of them.
Yes, he did, and he didn't listen.
And no, he did not. He did not do that. And so the whole thing is, we have to listen to what Yah, he's telling us to remember for a reason. A lot of times what you learn from your mistakes, you learn from things. Sometimes you slip up, not paying attention, you're not being watchful, and then things happen. It's like, okay, I'm not going to forget that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then the fact that, like, they were the first among the nations, they were the first ones to make war against Israel when they came out. You know what I'm saying? They were the first ones to attack who will be Yah's coming bride, because he had entered into a covenant with Abraham to take them as a people. And so anybody you attacking mine, I'm coming after you. You know what I'm saying? You're the first ones that's attacking. And so we are not to forget it. We are not to forget it, but he has also told us, and this is, like I said, it's Torah, that we are not to hate an Edomite. And he has told us that, and we're to treat them with respect. I don't go around mistreating anyone, but he love them as yourself. So when loving him is obeying his commandments, not loving him is when you disobey his commandments. So the way you will love your brother, you would treat your brother as yourself. That's his command.
Yes.
So because someone else is mistreating you, two wrongs does not make a right.
Yeah.
I can't say because somebody is doing this to me, then I'm going to turn around and do this. That's not going against his word. And so let me bring in a caller, but this was, to me, it was very similar to the David and Goliath, because it had so many prophecies in it.
And I just want to add too, Shaitan, that when we forgive those that have trespassed against us,
and I'm not getting ready to say he said forgive, because he did not say that, so I'm not going to add that. But I will just say he says to love them as yourself, do not hate them. But I'm not going to add and say he said forgive them.
No, I'm not saying forgive.
Okay.
I'm not saying forgive. No, that's not the context I'm trying to go with. But I'm saying when you forgive those that wrong you, you don't forget the things that they have done, but you don't harbor on it. That's the thing that I'm trying to. That's a perfect. That's
you
perfect. You don't harbor on it.
I just wanted to say that because I don't want nobody calling to say they're saying that we supposed to forget Esau because I know
I didn't mean it in that context. No.
Yes, we are not. When you do forgive, you're not, like Prina said, you're not continuing to harbor on what they did. You remember it. I ain't forgot it. Yeah. Like when somebody done you wrong, you ain't forgot it. It's still there. So that just if you making a mental note in case I see something looking like this again, I ain't forgot. But you move on past it. But listen, bring in this caller, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Woo, 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 woo. Praise Yah, sisters. We're spending too much time on that Edomite. Yes, all we need to do is remember them. But that battle of Armageddon, y'all know how I want to avoid that. And I mean, only the righteous are going to be able to avoid that battle, which you so eloquently said today. And as we, like our Christian brothers and sisters, and it's just not Christianity, it's Islam, Buddhism, Judaism, Hinduism, all of that is idolatry. Tomorrow they're going to be celebrating the Queen of Heaven, the strange woman that we call her.
Mother's Day.
Right. It's idolatry. And so we've got to come out of all that stuff. And
there's going to be a lot of Israelites, I bet you, on my Facebook page putting up some Happy Mother's Day posts.
Right. So we need to come out of all that stuff and receive the salvation and rest. That was so sweet of Yeshua, because that's more important. We need to be sharpening our sword. Because Yeshua said that that's the rock that he's going to build his assembly up on. That he is the Messiah. He's the Messiah. So it was so good, girl. I don't have nothing else to say. It was good.
I mean, I'm hoping that people get this teaching today, because definitely y'all led and Ruach inspired from beginning to ending.
The message is clear. We're going to have many Amaleks, and many of them Amalek types are going to be looking just like your brother or sister.
Yeah.
How many do you know now in Israel that are leading people astray
Yeah.
with all kind of false doctrines? They got YouTube channels. They got a lot of congregations that meet every Sabbath, and you sitting up under Amalek now, and he's attacking you. He may not be physically attacking you, but he's attacking you with false teachings.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And you're being led astray and off the promised land that he has promised to us that's coming. I am not. Hear me. I have come too far to let
to turn back.
somebody to knock me off. Look, Prina, if y'all see me getting weak, put a stone under me, hold up. Vicky, get on one side. Prina, get on the other side.
I will, sister, I will.
We are members of one body, so if one of our members are weak, we are weak, and we are commanded to support one another. And we support each other with the word. That's how you support each other. That is our power. That's our authority. You know, that's our strength. And, I mean, it's just all of these things of just the word study on ride. I mean, all of this is just lining up. You know, just when you have the ride, you are steady. You know, you're unshakable. I mean, it was just so many things that happened, and this reminded me once again of the David and Goliath lesson, because it was the same. Joshua is a Messiah type, just as David is, and so I mean that's what his name means, Yeshua. Same thing. And so when I Googled it, any of y'all Google? Did you see Yeshua come up? Did you see Yeshua come up when you Googled it?
Yes, I did.
For Wikipedia, okay? It said Yeshua.
They know who we are, and they know who Yah is, and Yeshua is just, you know, people fail to...
you ain't see JC come up when you said Yah say.
Right.
He sure did.
You said Yeshua.
And that's the big difference. Satan is the copycat. He's got his own assembly, his own mighty one, his own people, you know, his own savior. But the world that's an illusion. That is the illusion. It's not the truth. And most of the world is on that wide road. That's what because that's what we've been told. But we got to think and not be deceived and question and study and come off of that wide road and come to the narrow road. We can do it. We just got to think and research and study and pray.
All right. Well, thank you, Sister Vicky, for
thank you,
sharing
with
us. So, I mean, I don't know, next week, Sister Prina,
thank you, Prina,
is going to be teaching the lesson. Yay. Can't wait. Yah has given her a word, so she's going to be teaching next Sabbath. So, get ready for that. And so,
yes, and I'm telling you, I'm on a roller coaster right now, and
now you see what I be saying.
Continue to pray for me too, because I'm so flooded with so much stuff that I don't even know. I'm like, slow down.
Remember, that's what I told you he'd be doing me. Now you see what I'm talking about.
Yes, so I'm excited though. I am. You know that to do this for the Word of Yah, and that he's inspiring me, and it's not something that, you know, I'm doing of my own, and so I'm doing as he has instructed me to do. So all praise.
And I'm just having a moment right now, because remember I've been saying for weeks, Israel shall be redeemed. Remember, I've been telling you that, but I thought it was for me. It's for you. Remember,
I'm telling you, all I heard is he said go to Ruth. And I'm like, Ruth? What I'm going to Ruth for? That's where it started.
She's been saying that for weeks. I've been saying that Israel shall be redeemed, but I said no, but he wanted me to do something else. I said, but I know we're going to come back for it. Remember I said we're going to come back for a circle.
I knew it was coming soon right after David. I didn't know how soon.
And Priya didn't know what her lesson was going to be, because I've been the one that's been telling her that it's going to be Israel shall be redeemed. And I've been saying it every week, and then I'm like, no, it ain't going to be that. Because he don't let me to somewhere else. He was giving me your title before he had given it to you.
Yeah, he was. And I didn't know what he was going with it. I'm like, okay, what am I doing? And I was grieved. Remember, I was feeling grieved because I felt like I couldn't give to the teaching ministry, but Yah was leading me a certain way, and so I had to be patient and understand what he was doing in his part. So I just give all praise to Yah and take nothing on my own.
Yeah, I told Prina that sometimes Yah's like that with me. Sometimes he will give me something, and I'm thinking it's for now, but what he's giving you now is just for you to start studying and researching. He's leading you on the path, and the more you go and just stick with that, he'll give you more and more, and then eventually you'll be clear, like, oh, okay, now I see, why he told me to study this and why, that he wanted me to read that. That's you being led of the Ruach. That's how, when you're being led in that way and you're following, that's when you get Yah-inspired lessons. That's when your lessons will have an anointing on it, because it's not something that you're coming up with, because apparently I knew what your title was going to be before you gave it. I didn't know this was for you. I'm thinking this was for me, because I've been saying this for at least about four weeks straight.
Yes, you have.
That
yes, you
I'm Israel shall be redeemed. That's the lesson he giving me. I don't know, but I ain't got to it yet. But I said, I know this is something that I'm going to be doing, and it wasn't. That's why I wasn't giving that, because I was setting the stage. Actually, what you're getting ready to teach next week is setting the stage for everything else that I have been teaching.
Yes.
Do you understand?
All of it has connected.
Yes, it's all connecting.
Yes.
So all praises be to Yah. That's what happened when you being led by the Ruach. Now, all the lessons I teach is how he leads me, and then when he leads me, it's going to come out the way that he wants it to. And so I don't have no say in what you hear. It's whatever he gives to me. And I, just like Yeshua say, I speak whatever my Father in heaven gives me to speak. My words are not my own word, but he who is in heaven, those are his words. So whatever we speak and the stuff, the lessons that are coming before you, please know that it's coming from Yah. So thank you, Sister Vicky.
We can see that every week. You get wiser and wiser every week. I've known you how long? For a few years now?
Yeah, about
you get wiser and wiser.
5-6 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
You and Prina both. Praise Yah. Y'all making me wise too. Thank you.
And I just really believe is he's doing this because we know our 400 years is coming up, and it's so much that we need as a nation of people to be clean and without blemish before him.
Thank you.
And he's just trying to clean us up before it's too late. And I just really truly believe that. And I just I'm grateful for these lessons, because there's a lot of things he have revealed to me that I need to change, not only for myself, but and how I go and how I look at the scriptures and read the scriptures. I look at them and I read them totally different than I did years ago.
Right.
Yeah. So praise be to Yah.
Praise him.
So
hopefully, if ain't nobody got nothing else, they know now from listening to these teachings how to study. If you ain't learned nothing else, I think that has been covered. How to study.
You don't want to be here for the final battle or whatever else.
Vicky getting ready to get mute you now, because she can ready.
Okay. Thanks, yeah.
She get ready.
Shalom.
All right, Prina, you lead us out in prayer. Okay, I'm reading from 1 Chronicles 29, 10 through 13, and verse 18. And David blessed Yah before the eyes of all the congregation. And David said, "Blessed are you, O Yah, the power of Israel, our Father, forever and ever. To you, O Yah, be the greatness and the power and the high esteem and the victory and the majesty. For all in the heavens and the earth belongs to you. O Yah, yours is the kingdom, and you lift up yourself to all as head. And the riches and the honor come before you, and you rule over all. And in your hand is power and might, and it is in your hand to make great and to give strength to all. And now our power, we are giving thanks to you and giving praise to your high esteemed name. O Yah, the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, our fathers, keep this forever for the intent of the thoughts of the heart of your people, and prepare their heart toward you. In Yeshua's name, so be it.
In Yeshua's name, so be it. So we want to thank you once again for joining us. It was such a blessing coming before you. I truly enjoyed putting this teaching together in 2 days. And just grateful to Yah and just openly acknowledging. I mean, I do it all the time, but just all praises be to you, Yah. Thank you so much for your wisdom, your knowledge, understanding, counsel, the leading of your Ruach. I'm so grateful and humbled to once again and just weekly come before your people. I don't take it lightly. And I continue to pray that your Ruach will remain in me and that we will all remain steadfast, holding up that rod. And if we see our brothers and sisters and arms starting to go down, that we would support them and help them, Father Yah, in this journey as they're being attacked, because we know when they're being attacked, we got to see past people. It's not the people, it's the enemy who is working in and through people to stop us. And so as a body, we are responsible for one another. If one of the members is sick, the scripture says the whole head is sick. So we have to learn how to be more supportive of one another, and holding each other up. And then we have a responsibility of holding each other accountable too.
Yes, we do.
When it comes to that word, we do judge one another. We judge those that are in the faith. If you're not in the faith, then I don't have nothing to say to you. Just carry on till you get to the lake.
Yeah.
So, may Yah bless and keep thee. May he make his face shine upon thee and be gracious to thee. May he lift up his countenance upon thee and give you peace in Yeshua's name. So be it. Shabbat shalom. Pray you enjoy the rest of your Sabbath.
Grace and mercy was given